So Andy's a devout Christian that denounces the LGBTQ and other progressive movements.
The Bible says you were made to rule. You were made to shit up.
Wait, where does it say that? Oh, I found it. It's the book of John.
Did you know that less than a year ago, Andy was actively promoting diversity at Ubisoft?
I personally feel the more gay, lesbian, trans, and female characters we have in games, the better. The more diverse perspectives we have in games, the better they will always be. But here's the thing. In the same breath, you don't also get to criticize Kojima for fetishizing the female body or for Call of Duty games for being pro-America. Diversity means diversity even when it doesn't fit my narrow political band. And if you only try to censor those outside of your politics, I think you're being a gatekeeping asshole.
Showing a positive stance toward inclusion, but when his audience demanded a shift, he pivoted to anti-woke content.
I've gotten banned from Reddit like 10 times because I showed up and asked you homos a simple question and y'all can't answer it, so you banned me. So if you spend a lot of time on Reddit, we already know you wear women's clothes. We know your wife has a boyfriend, and we know you drive a Prius. So just click off. You're not going to like this video.
Covering his tracks along the way.
The LGBTQ crowd are satanic devil worshippers, so of course they have witches in their game.
So first off, Christians don't condemn anybody. We don't have the power to condemn anybody. Even Jesus himself, he reserves all condemnation for the Father. So we don't condemn anybody. God does.
Went to go check Andy's second channel, Andy Xbox. And there it is! He actually did it! The dumb bastard actually did it! He privated all of his videos! Keep in mind, Andy has had this YouTube channel since 2017. He has dedicated years of his life to this YouTube channel and making videos for it. And he fucking scrubbed it all because it's a danger to the ad revenue he's currently generating on his AndyPants Gaming channel. All that effort, all that passion, Andy, you threw away to maintain the facade you've created with your AndyPants Gaming channel.
Most of his current videos are just pandering, focusing on illegitimate issues like who worked on a game or a voice actor's political views, rather than real problems within games. His content has become repetitive, often resorting to immature comments like, "This is gay," and complaining about a lack of masculinity in games. Recently, YouTuber ActMan exposed Andy's disingenuous nature, revealing him as a grifter who's more interested in playing to his audience than discussing genuine issues in gaming.
I'm a big fan of the Ninth Commandment. I'm sure you're familiar with it.
What is that, coveting?
No. It's funny. My other buddy said it. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. I'm a big fan of that one.
Oh, okay. Did I lie somewhere? Where
you've done a lot of lying, buddy.
Okay. Where did I lie? This should be good.
We have a funny quote from you. Let's see if I can. I found your old video on political bias in game journalism, and again, it's like this is a good take, but see, like the audience you've cultivated is not going to like something that you say here.
Oh, great. I can't wait.
Yeah, these are your words. The more gay, lesbian, trans, and female characters we have in games, the better. The more diverse perspectives we have in games, the better they will always be. This isn't really lining up with the direction your channel is going in, does it?
Yeah. What I will say is that about a year ago, I was backing Xbox, and I think it's pretty commonly known that I used to have an Xbox channel. And then I think in those moments of me backing Xbox, I would say stupid stuff at some points.
I mean, seriously, what did we just witness? We saw an overconfident, underprepared, and insincere Andy come into a debate of his own making. He accused ActMan of being a shill by both being a leftist, yet simultaneously a fence-sitter. Ironic how this entire stream and its aftermath showcases Andy displaying this exact same behavior. Throughout the stream, Andy continuously opens his question with, "Isn't it strange?" Well, Andy, isn't it strange that you claim to be a devout Christian, yet you are unable to quote or remember the Ninth Commandment? Isn't it strange how hard you shilled for Starfield and Xbox only a year ago, yet believe ActMan is paid out by Activision? Isn't it strange that when ripping ActMan from shifting his politics to appeal to leftists, you yourself are exposed for advocating for diversity and LGBT representation, but now have shifted your views to promote an anti-gay narrative? Isn't it strange how despite condemning gay behavior, you've posted a video of yourself humping the air in a onesie? Okay, this isn't actually a point, it's just funny.
Oh yes, Daddy.
Isn't it strange that you call Actman a grifter, yet you self-reported when you said the only reason you radicalized your content was because you got views for doing so, and you're easily influenced by your community for your moral compass? Isn't it strange?
He also put a false copyright strike against the Actman after he got exposed and humiliated.
And my god, Andy, you're such a fool that you didn't even go all the way. Why didn't you nuke all your community posts? You still have a bunch of community posts that directly tie your Andy Xbox channel to your AndyPants Gaming channel. So you can't deny that this isn't your channel.
Andy is a self-proclaimed anti-woke YouTuber who aggressively pushes culture war narratives, often resorting to insults whenever LGBTQ+ representation appears in video games. Once a die-hard Xbox fanboy who would defend the console with his life, he completely abandoned those beliefs the moment his critique channel gained traction. Instead of staying true to his original views, he reinvented himself to cater to a new audience, proving that his convictions are nothing more than a calculated act.
I guess you really didn't want people learning about how much you love Hellblade 2, eh? I guess you really didn't want your audience to find out just how much you love black people.
AndyPants Gaming used to be a video essay channel on YouTube, making retrospectives on games and analyzing what made them succeed. However, once he saw a rise in popularity, he pivoted hard into the anti-woke outrage machine that dominates YouTube. Instead of genuine critique, he now pushes shallow, reactionary content designed to validate popular opinions rather than uncover the truth.
He first started gaining noticeable recognition a few months ago when talking about the state of modern gaming. Over time, his videos have become far more defined, focusing on forced diversity that plagues the industry and a lack of masculinity in modern gaming.
Andy presents a lack of care for what is true versus what is profitable. His narratives aren't built on reality, but on what gets clicks, feeding into culture war nonsense, rather than meaningful discussions about gaming. This is exactly why people branded creators like him as grifters.
There's this thing you see on YouTube a lot now, and it's called grifting, and you see people like Luke Stevens and Asmongold doing it a lot, and it just basically means these people have no integrity whatsoever. And it basically means you just regurgitate whatever the popular opinion to have right now is. You have no integrity, and you will just regurgitate whatever people want to hear.
Andy is surrounded by mystery, but one thing is clear: he's a grifter. Across various platforms, he constantly contradicts himself, showing clear signs that he doesn't even believe the things he says. Instead, he forces his audience to buy into his narratives, presenting himself as a champion of Christianity while faking outrage for engagement.
Apparently, Alec here requested you for a discussion, challenged you to a debate, and you pussied out? Now, Andy, does that seem like manly Giga Chad behavior to you?
His so-called dislike for the unlike is just an act, a calculated performance designed to game the algorithm and appeal to a specific audience. On the surface, he looks like a crusader for faith and traditional values, but dig deeper and you'll see the cracks in his persona. Andy isn't here for truth. He's here for clicks. He has created multiple accounts during the last few years. Through my investigation, I've gathered extensive proof from YouTube and X exposing AndyPants Gaming's false persona. I've collected the latest videos that reveal him as a grifter, a fake religious figure, and a closet case. Despite his constant attacks on LGBTQ+ representation, he has an unusual habit of saving and posting images of gay men making out and engaging in explicit acts. The hypocrisy is undeniable. Andy isn't who he claims to be, and the evidence speaks for itself. Please enjoy.
Number 14, Deathloop. Deathloop was my Game of the Year 2021, and I'm not sorry about it. Halo Infinite is probably my number 2 game for that year, so this game was right up my alley, and I enjoyed every second of it.
That clip you just saw and heard came from the video 22 Underrated Games, uploaded by AndyPants Gaming on June 7th of 2024. Almost exactly 1 month before he uploaded his now infamous video, Who Killed Masculinity in Video Games, uploaded on July 9th of 2024. Now, for those of you who watched this video, liked this video, agreed with this video, shared this video around, some of you, after witnessing that clip I just showed you, had a light bulb go off in your head. You made the connections, put 2 and 2 together, and might have come to the conclusion that we've been tricked, we've been backstabbed, and we've been quite possibly bamboozled. However, there are others watching this who might still be confused and not get what's going on here. If that's the case, ladies and gentlemen, well then, allow me to take you for a ride. This is the story and exposing of AndyPants Gaming, the man who tricked hundreds of thousands of conservative Christian gamers into believing that he was one of them.
Now, for the rest of you, straight dudes, giga chads, can we talk? Why are video games gay now?
Over these years, Andy had created a dozen or so accounts across YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and TikTok, where he had gone out of his way to spread the gospel of his truth, which certainly created conflict between him and other people online, where Andy had played the game of semantics to contest others' interpretations of the Bible's teachings, which has led to many of his accounts being suspended or banned due to his overzealous nature. However, when one account got banned, Andy would just make another one, and another, and another, and another. It didn't matter how many times this happened, Andy continued to be persistent over the years. But on Twitter, Andy had made a few alt accounts on there too, such as his Herptown account, where he had uploaded a picture of his face to try and get an own on someone. The other accounts are as follows: Andrew Series X, AndyPants Games, and Pants Tweets. However, similar to his TikTok accounts, his Pants Tweets account had been suspended for unknown reasons. However, when somebody said goodbye to the Xbox fanboy, as they called him, Andy had replied on his old account, pretending to be someone else.
What makes Andy, as a creator, stand out is his direct verbiage and unapologetic personality, condemning the LGBT community as the homo, satanic, pedophilic mob who wishes to brainwash society with its woke virus agenda, Jesus Christ. Even garnering a reaction from the likes of people like Asmongold.
There's no need to diminish anyone else's accomplishments because you're a culture warrior. Let's take a look at his arguments for saying GTA 6 will be bad and woke.
So, like many of you, Andy's Who Killed Masculinity in Video Games video popped up in my YouTube feed. The YouTube algorithm was pushing this video hard. It was everywhere. And one streamer, Asmongold, made a reaction video to it. I had seen some of this guy's older videos before. I'd seen his open world games video. I'd seen his immersive Sims video. Now, in all honesty, I wasn't really a fan of his open world games video, but his immersive Sims video was genuinely really good. It was well made, and he was clearly passionate about the topic. The video was also apolitical to boot. But now, something else started to bug me as I was viewing Andy's video catalog, because I had checked out his YouTube channel a couple months ago, and I could have sworn there were more videos here. I felt like I was going crazy, so I decided to dig a bit deeper and do some research, because I was curious now. I started browsing through Andy's community posts to see if I could find anything, and would you look at that? I wasn't crazy. He had privated a bunch of his older videos. The exact number I can't say, but it's quite a few. Just to further confirm, I decided to put Andy's YouTube channel in the Wayback Machine. And there we have it, further proof. A Red Faction video, a Why Video Games Aren't Fun Anymore video, and a Dying Light video. But as I'm sure you'll notice, those older videos that he privated don't have as many views as some of his other videos. Keep that in. I mean, the premise of the video is already deeply flawed and presents an uphill battle for the creator, as the premise of Who Killed Masculinity in Video Games doesn't really hold up well when one of the most anticipated video games of 2024 and one of the most pre-ordered and wishlisted games on Steam is Space Marine 2. Couple that with one of the most anticipated video games of 2025, and again, one of the most wishlisted games on Steam being Doom the Dark Ages. Again, the narrative presented in this video doesn't hold up well to scrutiny. But alas, as I started watching the video and continued to watch it, something was bugging me throughout. The presentation, the tone, the choice of words, it didn't feel natural. And to top it all off, the voice, that voice. It was so familiar, like I had heard it before. So I decided to click on Andy's channel and check it out, and lo and behold, in mind for later. I also found out that Andy is a big fan and defender for the Ubisoft game Skull and Bones. Andy apparently really likes the game, and really isn't fond of the fact that a lot of people hate this game. Isn't that fascinating? My research continued. I started watching Andy's older videos, and video after video that I watched, I couldn't help but notice the multitude of contradictions made in his older videos when compared to his more recent ones, in particular the ones after the Who Killed Masculinity video. In his most recent videos over the past month or so, Andy has presented himself as a nationalist, Christian conservative who is hardcore anti-gay, anti-Jewish, and anti-anything left-leaning and woke. He also encourages people to actively boycott games that he doesn't like or isn't interested in.
I mean, bro is praising diverse games such as Starfield and Redfall.
You can keep acting tough and call yourself a confident man, but at the end of the day, if you don't humble yourself, Andy, and act like a fucking adult, your facade will fall, and from the words of Actman, the leopards will eat your face.
However, in 2021, Andy had tweeted about getting marketing notifications from DoorDash, but when he didn't get a reply from them, he decided to reply to his own tweet with this. Now, Andrew, that doesn't sound very Christian of you. But in the same year, Andrew had started a podcast on Spotify known as You Can't Say That in Church, where he and his co-host had talked on various different topics ranging from romance and dating in the church, all the way to which government Christians should support. And I just love the title, Jesus versus Stalin versus Hitler. Sounds like something I'd see in Death Battle. But there are some noteworthy titles that will come up again in the future, with those being, Has the Church Become Soft? And what is the Masculinity Crisis? But as one chapter ends, another must begin, as Andy in 2022 had made his Xbox gaming channel known as Andy Xbox, where he would promote and tell his audience how good Xbox is compared to PlayStation. While Andy had been making his Xbox-related content on YouTube, it had been a very different story on TikTok, where Andy continued to play the game of Bible semantics, acting as the authority on what the teachings of the Bible are, where we get to more of the roots of his current personality, where he responds to people in bad faith, taking other people's examples to the extreme.
Rather than address what I've said, you take one component of it out of context and misconstrue it and go off on your logical fallacy tangent. See, what I did was reference the example of Christians who condemn someone simply based on who they love. For example, a man who loves a man, or a woman who loves a woman. And in that brain of yours, you took that and thought it was the same thing as me stating you should love someone if they're a rapist, or a pedophile, or a bank robber.
So first off, Christians don't condemn anybody. We don't have the power to condemn anybody. Even Jesus himself, he reserves all condemnation for the Father. So we don't condemn anybody, God does. But secondly, you yourself said it's not for us to judge who someone wants to love, who someone wants to be in a sexual relationship with. And so if it is truly not for us to ever judge who somebody wants to be in a sexual relationship with, how far does that go? How far does that line cross? And I think you'll find if you truly believe that, quote, love is love, and we should not judge anyone for any kind of sexual relationship that they choose to engage in, that's going to go to some pretty scary places, and I'm using your logic.
But just know that this is only the tip of the iceberg with this man. He even made a series about one person, Andy Stanley, where throughout this series, Andrew catalogs everything the guy says and does, even going out of his way to inform us of which churches Andy Stanley goes to.
Hey guys, if you're in the Atlanta area and you are attending a North Point church, you should know that Andy Stanley, your lead pastor, recently said something denying the authority of Scripture. And he recently said some troubling things at a pastor's conference in February, all we can ask them to do is read the Bible and pray that the Holy Spirit opens their eyes to the truth about this man and his teachings. This is not the gospel of Andy Stanley. Andy Stanley is saying you can completely indulge in your sin and also follow Christ, and that is a lie from the enemy.
So what did the guy do? He tells people who are gay or trans that they can still be Christians and actively supports them. What a terrible guy.
So this is a direct quote from Andy Stanley at this conference. Quote, "We need to make room for gay men who choose to be married to each other in our churches because that's as close as they can get to a New Testament framework of marriage." He also said, direct quote, "I believe in gay people. Some people are gay. They can't change." So do with that information what you will, but know at this point that Andy Stanley has denied the authority of Scripture. And if he's your pastor, I would be very concerned about following somebody who has denied the Bible and has gone against Scripture. Okay, be blessed.
To Andy, accepting people who are trans or gay is going against God's teachings, which is a sin, and therefore a crime against God. But just wait until you hear what he has to say about atheism.
But atheists are okay with pedophilia. This is well-known atheist humanist scholar Jared Anderson. In this debate, Jeff Durbin asked Anderson, is pedophilia always, in all cases, objectively wrong? Anderson, an atheist, replied, well, no, it's not objectively wrong. It's just subjectively wrong, which means in some cases it's wrong, but in some cases it's not wrong.
I work with murderers and pedophiles all the time. I have a least favorite pedophile.
Are they wrong?
He's very annoying. Yes. They are absolutely wrong. Or they are technically intersubjectively wrong.
So they're not absolutely wrong?
No, because it's all a conversation.
So the debate's over, friends.
So because one atheist came out with that answer, that must mean every other atheist in the world has the same opinion. Andy, that's insane. But then, Andy made more videos diving into this subject, trying so desperately to prove his theory true.
How does atheism lead to belief that rape is okay? I'll tell you how it does. Atheism is the belief that there are no gods, and therefore this natural world is all there is. That's called materialism. And so therefore, if there is no God, then there is nobody to dictate what the correct morality is. Different cultures, Nazi culture has one morality, Native American culture has a different morality, China has a different morality. There's no way of saying who is right and who is wrong. That is the core belief of atheism, i.e. materialism. Therefore, if you are an atheist, you cannot say it is objectively wrong to rape someone. If you are an atheist, you cannot say pedophilia is objectively wrong. And that's concerning for me about you, that if you are an atheist, you cannot say those things are objectively wrong. It's scary. Atheism or atheistic humanism is simply the belief that there are no gods. This world is all there is. A Big Bang happened, and we are just carbon-based life forms who have evolved from that Big Bang. In this viewpoint, morality is simply something that evolved to help cultures better survive. So morality is not absolute and objective for all time, but different societies evolve different moralities. So Nazis have evolved a Nazi morality to survive. Native Americans have evolved a Native American morality to survive. The Chinese Communist government has evolved their morality to survive. And here's the kicker, no culture can say that any other culture is wrong, according to atheism. So according to atheistic humanistic logic, somebody who is simply evolving the morality they need to survive. Somebody who is simply evolving their morality they need to survive. And this is why you will never hear an atheist say that that is objectively wrong.
Rape is wrong. Murder is wrong.
Atheists teach that we evolved from pond scum, and because we evolved from pond scum, who can really say what right and wrong is? See, because atheists teach that we're the product of evolution and the strongest survive, and there's no ultimate reason to be kind to or take care of anybody else because you have to look out for yourself above all else. So I'm glad you're being kind and generous, but those are Christian values, not atheist values. Atheists also support the trans community, which is not moral at all. In fact, all the atheists I've met support the idea that men with male genitalia can go into female locker rooms, and that's perfectly fine.
But when someone had made a TikTok coming out as a gay Christian, Andy went so far as to create an entire conspiracy in response to the guy.
So my heart goes out to this kid, but if I could talk to him, I would ask him, who told you you were gay? Did your culture tell you that you were gay? Did your culture put that identity on you? Or did God? Because what God says is I never made anyone gay. I never made anyone a liar. I never made anybody an alcoholic. I never made anybody a murderer. People in their own sinful flesh have chosen to do those things. So our culture and Satan, because they work together, culture and Satan work together, our culture wants to keep you trapped in the lies of your past. Our culture wants to say, you're a bad person, you did this thing, but that means that you're this kind of person. Whereas God never says that. God says, you're a new creation. God says, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. God says, you're a son or a daughter. So this idea that you are gay, it is a lie from the enemy. It is a lie from Satan. You have been freed. You are a new creation. Hallelujah.
But according to Andy, he is also being oppressed in the real world because he can't talk about his faith out of fear of prosecution or not getting that promotion at work.
I've worked in corporate America for 15 years, and this is their pagan, demonic religion now. I can't even mention the fact that I'm a Christian at work for fear of persecution, being not promoted, being persecuted against in some way. I literally can't talk about my faith, but this is plastered all over their depraved, wicked websites.
But maybe it's not about talking about his faith that's the issue, but how he goes about doing it. As if you talk about your religion like Andy does on TikTok, then I think people rightfully so would think you are pretty weird and wouldn't feel comfortable around you.
I've had 5 or 6 TikTok accounts with thousands of followers be completely banned because TikTok doesn't support free speech anymore. I've expressed my religious views and I will get banned for simply expressing my religious views, whereas you can go on and talk about all of your tranny stuff as much as you want and it's totally fine.
Ah yes, it couldn't have been the times you take things to the extreme side of the spectrum, or the times you openly condemn people for being gay or trans. No. It's because the platform is against free speech and is actively trying to censor the truth you speak. This just goes to show you that Andy doesn't possess any self-awareness and operates like a crybaby.
Christians, if you're out there, how do I avoid getting banned in the future on my lives? Because it's kind of a pain to have to get up to 1,000 followers and just get banned on a live immediately because you hurt somebody's feelings. So are there certain things I can't say? Are there certain topics I should avoid? Because I submitted an appeal and it got denied. So Christians, please help me out. Thanks.
But oddly enough, on his Xbox channel, Andy had uploaded The Bias of Gaming Journalists, where the video in its base summary is a critique on left-leaning gaming journalists, but unlike his current content choice, he goes into the topic with a more open-minded and neutral approach.
The question I see almost nobody asking is, how does gaming media decide which groups get to be offended? Right now it would seem they decide who gets to be offended based on political lines. So the issues they want to expose are exclusively left-leaning issues. LGBTQ and female representation in games, perceived sexism in games, and workers' rights. I personally feel the more gay, lesbian, trans, and female characters we have in games, the better. The more diverse perspectives we have in games, the better they will always be. But here's the thing. In the same breath, you don't also get to criticize Kojima for fetishizing the female body or for Call of Duty games for being pro-America. Diversity means diversity even when it doesn't fit my narrow political band. And if you only try to censor those outside of your politics, I think you're being a gatekeeping asshole.
I'm just done with these games. If you want my 100% real thoughts on this, I just think the entire video game industry has gone woke and gay, and almost nothing they are making appeals to me in any way anymore. Game developers need to stop putting gay stuff in games, and they need to fire every liberal white woman if they want us to ever buy a game again. The LGBTQ crowd are satanic devil worshippers, so of course they have witches in their game. No Giga Chad would actually play this slop. We're just going to stop playing this trash. We're going to go buy old games, buy old edgy games, and stop playing any modern video game because they're trash. If you see something modern with a homo flag in it, delete it and uninstall it. Don't play Call of Duty. Don't play Overwatch. Don't play Apex. Don't play Fortnite. Support Russian and Eastern European games. Play Ready or Not. Play Tarkov. Play Stalker and Stalker 2. Look, I'm American and I love America, and I hate that I have to recommend games from the East right now, but I do. Russian, Chinese, Japanese games still have some semblance of morality and normal masculinity in them. Meanwhile, anything made in Homo Sweden or Homo Germany or Homo England or Homo America is going to be gay and woke. You know, if video games were proportionate to the presence of these people as gamers and in society, that makes sense. If 3% of the population is LGBT, then 3% of the video games should be LGBT. If 14% of the population is black, then 14% of the video games should be black. And like, I'm seriously going to get kicked off of YouTube if I say who it is. Like, I don't even need to say them. Y'all know the group that is behind this. I don't even need to say them out loud.
Oh my, those are some strong positions you hold there, Andy. Except you don't actually hold those positions, do you? Because in your older videos from just a few months ago, you said all of this.
Now, guys, just first off, I have no interest in a political debate. I don't want to get political about this because I honestly don't care. And no offense to you if you do like Gears 4 and 5, I just feel like they do not represent the core brand identity that we see in the original Gears trilogy. Training your average person to play games a certain way, we have to consider these biases when introducing our friends to the immersive sim genre. I find it kind of fun to be an evangelist for immersive sims. We can all do a better job of explaining to newcomers the genre, how these games work, and how you really have to shed all your AAA expectations in order to play them correctly. Also, if you like immersive sims, consider supporting indie immersive sim projects: Eldritch, Cruelty Squad, Consortium, Gloomwood, and Weird West. So just to sum things up, I don't ever expect immersive sims to be popular. AAA games of the past 20 years have pretty much ruined people's ability to come to these games in a neutral manner. But those of us who do love these games can keep on appreciating them as much as we do, and nobody can take that from us. Number 19, Watch Dogs 2. If you only play one Watch Dogs game, please play Watch Dogs 2. In Watch Dogs 1, the gameplay was fine, the story was too linear, and it hasn't aged well. Similarly, in Watch Dogs Legion, the story is super boring and the gameplay wasn't very compelling for me either. Watch Dogs 2 has become a game that I fire up for a little while every single summer, just because it's light, it has great gameplay, and it has an amazing setting. Number 14, Deathloop. Deathloop was my Game of the Year 2021, and I'm not sorry about it. Halo Infinite is probably my number 2 game for that year. Despite it being kind of a one-and-done game, the whole premise of Deathloop is amazing, and the way you uncover the game's central mystery is very satisfying. The combat is fun, the abilities are fun, the game is in a retro future, and it has a lot of immersive sim DNA. So this game was right up my alley, and I enjoyed every second of it. So the most important thing to understand about Rage 2 is this game is primarily just a fun game. It's not going to end up on any critics' must-play games of the year. It certainly is not going to win a Game of the Year award, but the game was very fun. Just to give you a point of reference here, I was recently playing Doom 2016, and I know that game is critically acclaimed, but I put the game down several times. However, Rage 2 I could not put down. I couldn't put the controller down when I was playing it. So I think that says something.
Well, golly gee whiz. Those are some pretty blatant contradictions and flip-flopping going on there, Andy. So in which videos are you actually expressing your honest opinions and positions? I would like to remind you all that his 22 underrated games video is only 1 month apart from his Who Killed Masculinity in Video Games video, and somehow, in the span of a month, Andy went from
Deathloop was my Game of the Year 2021, and I'm not sorry about it. Halo Infinite is probably my number 2 game for that year.
2.
And white liberal women have no interest in masculine, manly, male characters. They wouldn't even know how to write one if they tried.
So is Halo Infinite your second favorite game of 2021, or is it a bad game? Which one is it, Andy? Also, for someone who says,
you know, if video games were proportionate to the presence of these people as gamers and in society, that makes sense. If 3% of the population is LGBT, then 3% of the video games should be LGBT. If 14% of the population is black, then 14% of the video games should be black.
It's really fucking weird that you said this just a few months before.
Number 14, Deathloop. Deathloop was my game of the year 2021, and I'm not sorry about it. Halo Infinite is probably my number 2 game for that year, so this game was right up my alley, and I enjoyed every second of it.
So you believe that there should be less black and gay people in video games, but your favorite video game of 2021 was Deathloop, a game filled with black and gay characters. Ladies and gentlemen, I must ask, are you starting to catch on? You see, the Andy, who Andy presents himself as post his What Makes Something Woke video, is not the same Andy who posted his very first video on January 31st of 2024, where he just gushed about how much he loved Ghost Recon. Andy is not the hardcore Christian conservative, nationalist, anti-gay, anti-Jewish, anti-woke character that he portrays himself as. It's just that. A character. He's putting on a show. Andy is grifting. And I'm not using that in a derogatory internet buzzword sort of way. I mean the dictionary definition of grifting, engaging in swindling. He is tricking thousands of Christian conservative gamers into believing that he's one of them. Consider this. If Andy held such strong beliefs about politics, religion, and homosexuality, why did none of this come up in his earlier videos? Why did he only start engaging in these topics after his When Did Video Games Become Soft video became his most popular video with the most views on his channel? The same video, mind you, where he said this.
Now guys, just first off, I have no interest in a political debate. I don't want to get political about this because I honestly don't care.
After that, boom, boom, back to back. And then, after his masculinity video blew up, boom, 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 boom! 4 videos about gay people back to back. Gee, for someone who says he really doesn't like gay people, he sure as hell can't stop talking and thinking about them. Gee, I wonder if this is a subject he's actually passionate about, or if he's just trying to capitalize off of a certain video of his that started to blow up on YouTube towards a certain demographic of people. Ladies and gentlemen, especially the Christian conservatives among you watching, I ask you, what is the more likely logical scenario here? That Andy somehow had a radical change in his opinions, perspectives, and viewpoints in the span of a month, or that Andy is now trying to capitalize and chase after the white, straight, Christian conservative gamer demographic for YouTube views, ad revenue, and clout. Let's be honest with each other. What is the more likely scenario here? But perhaps you're not convinced yet. Alright, more evidence. Let's tackle some more of Andy's contradictions, starting with his love for Ubisoft's game Skull and Bones. Here's a meme making fun of Skull and Bones haters. Here's another one. Here's a post of him defending the game. Here he writes, 56 hours into Skull and Bones and just getting started. Shrug. Weird everybody told me it was a bad game, quote unquote, though. And the piece de resistance, one of the videos he privated. Another video to make the Skull and Bone haters mad. So obviously, Andy is really passionate about and really likes Skull and Bones. Even though this is a game with black and gay pirates in it. Anyways, let's take a look at Andy's Twitter and see what he said about the game recently. Oh. Man, Ubisoft really having the worst year ever. Skull and Bones, flop. Skull and Bones is a flop now, is it, Andy? Funny, you weren't saying that a few months ago. As a matter of fact, you were pretty upset that people were saying that Skull and Bones was a flop months ago. And now here you are saying that. That's so funny. It's almost like one of the posts you made were you expressing your honest opinions, and the other is you playing a character to appease a certain demographic of people who have a specific opinion on that game. Oh, Andy! That's really funny. You think creator Nadeshot is a shill for Ubisoft. Well, what do you have to say about your old YouTube community posts about Skull and Bones? Should we be looking in your account for a check from Ubisoft now? Gee, guys, I wonder if Andy's being genuine. Up next, let's have a listen to something Andy said in his Why Are Video Games So Gay Now video.
The LGBTQ crowd are satanic devil worshippers, so of course they have witches in their game. No Giga Chad would actually play this slop.
Huh, that's real fucking funny, Andy. So does that mean all the Christian conservatives who purchased and played Hogwarts Legacy in order to own the libs and the trans activists, are they all sinners and heretics now? Did they forsake Jesus Christ? Since Hogwarts Legacy is a game about playing as wizards and witches, it must be satanic, correct, by the standards you have presented here. But if witches being in a video game make it satanic and gay, then I guess that means a hell of a lot of Christian conservative gamers are in support of that. Oh no. Oh, and speaking of Satanism, I'm going to assume you're going to uphold to this standard you have presented and not be a flip-flopping bitch. Because if witches being in video games are satanic, then actual demons being in a video game are satanic, right? Which means all of the Doom games are satanic. And since Satanism is wrong and immoral and impure, then a real Christian conservative Giga Chad gamer wouldn't play the Doom games, right? They would be wholly opposed to them. Yourself included?
Just to give you a point of reference here, I was recently playing Doom 2016, and I know that game is critically acclaimed, but I put the game down several times. I think it's an absolute travesty that Doom 2016 did not get higher ratings on some websites. Doom 2016 is one of the best pure shooters I've played in a really long time. It's just an incredible game.
What kind of Christian are you?
Just to recap, Andy thinks playing as a criminal in GTA is okay. He thinks playing as a pirate in Skull and Bones is okay. He's stated in multiple videos that he wants games to be edgy and offensive.
Why can't you just be happy with the safe, watered-down schlock that's made in 2024? And I would ask in response, why do you care what I do in my free time? I enjoy being able to do whatever the hell I want in a game, and it's clear millions and millions of other people feel the same way.
But witches in video games is where Andy draws the line.
Telling us that the video is about letting games be games without moral gatekeeping from either the right side or the left side of politics.
They have decided for us which groups of people matter and which groups of people don't matter. So how do we get around this problem? Is the answer to make good old conservative outlets with good old conservative values? Definitely not. If we did that, then we'd have a right-leaning problem with gay media coverage. I think the only possible answer is to completely remove our personal moral gatekeeping from the equation entirely and let games be whatever they want to be. In short, we need to accept that video games are inherently offensive, and we need to accept that not every video game is made for us.
But here's the thing. Notice how Andy, whenever he talks about gaming and what makes it great, most of the time he focuses on how offensive it all is. Like that is the end-all be-all of a game. Not the well-written stories or memorable events or the characters you meet along the way. No. It's all about how controversial the game is perceived to be, which is very subjective.
Polish devs, Rockstar Games, and Japan. These are the last three places left with the balls to do anything offensive and risky and interesting.
His argument is based on three things: who Rockstar has been hiring, what they're removing from GTA Online, and Dan Houser's comments. Let's see what he says about hiring.
I happened to jump over to Rockstar's LinkedIn page and saw a job description for a graphic designer they were hiring. It reads, "Become part of a team working on some of the most rewarding large-scale creative projects to be found in any entertainment medium, all within an inclusive, highly motivated environment." Yeah, guys, GTA is cooked.
He didn't do his research here because if you go back to 2006, you can see language like this, diversity, inclusion, is within Rockstar Games job postings. They want the best talent, and the best talent wants to be in a pretty good environment. That's not unreasonable to ask. Andy also continued to self-own himself on Twitter around this specific topic. He just took pictures that Rockstar had from International Women's Day and was like, these are the people working on GTA. And gasp, it's women. You know, the people you would expect getting pictures for International Women's Day? He got community noted pretty quickly, and the comments are pretty hilarious. he's getting whooped throughout them for his disingenuous framing of this image in the first place. I have this interaction with him which is kind of funny, asking him if he expects to have over 2,000 dudes making the game, and he says yes. He ended up deleting the post after everyone called him an idiot, so I'm glad I grabbed a screen cap. And my dude, whether you want fellowship with other men, or maybe you're secretly fond of one of them, that is okay.
Rockstar went gay and woke and had to sanitize and fix things from GTA 5. In 2020, after the George Floyd riots and all of the BLM stuff, Rockstar removed the Cops and Crooks game mode from GTA Online, deeming that it was offensive.
It wasn't removed from the game because it was never released. Based on a Bloomberg article in July 2022, it looks like Rockstar quietly shelved the mode it had planned for release. This was cancelled due to the death of George Floyd and all the BLM activity that was going on. Remember, Rockstar is not a private company that can do whatever it wants. It's been owned by Take-Two for a long time, and Take-Two has shareholders it has to report to. It was their business decision, not censorship. Let's see what else he has.
In 2021, Rockstar removed all rebel flags from the game and replaced them with American flags because, somebody got their feelings hurt.
From all signs that had more to do with PlayStation and other platforms not allowing the Confederate flag to be in games, take it up with them.
In 2022, Rockstar edited out transphobic content from GTA 5. Basically, there was this club called the Cockatoo Club in GTA 5. Whenever you go over there, it's just a bunch of ugly-looking dudes dressed up trying to look like women. It's hilarious. They're all really ugly and clearly not women. Well, they removed all the drag queens from the game and the club itself because somebody deemed it offensive.
Again, they're a business that report to shareholders. Rockstar doesn't really want their games politicized. Or maybe Rockstar felt that their satire wasn't on point with this piece. Let's hear what he has to say about Grand Theft Auto 4.
Did we forget that GTA 4 is one of the most homophobic games of all time and it's hilarious?
Brother really needs some media literacy and to understand the sweet satire of Rockstar Games and its amazing writing. Homophobia is defined as a dislike of or prejudice against gay people, and I don't see any of that. He references the 2022 Bloomberg article by Jason Schreier, which talks about a kinder, gentler Rockstar that changed a whole lot after Red Dead Redemption 2. Really being driven from Dan Houser's own interview talking about the super long work weeks near the end of production. Rockstar pivoted and supported their employees. And we've seen the impact of that because GTA 6 has taken so long, and that's alright. I think it's pretty clear to see Andy's motivation. It's not for the love of the game. It's about being mean-spirited, being deceptive, and the end result is getting caught up in lies and hypocrisy. What Andy seems to want is just for gay people to get mocked. That's kind of his measure of success, if GTA 6 will be good or not.
Polish devs have demonstrated they do not give a rip about offending people. Check out the Terrorist Takedown series by CI Games.
Okay, so because a Polish studio had made a game 17 years ago, that means they have clearly demonstrated that they don't care about offending people in their games, and they continue to hold that standard to this day. By that logic, we could say the same for, I don't know, every other studio or publisher who caters towards a mature audience. You see, EA have already demonstrated that they don't care about offending people, because back in 2008, they released Dead Space. You know, the game that's all about slicing and dicing your enemies apart. I know, right? Quite offensive. And they released the remake at the beginning of 2023, where you can take this to the next level, peeling the layers back from the enemy's corpses. I know, right? Even more offensive. And the remake is superior because not only did they make the peeling system, but they also managed to offend the army of gigachads with the inclusion of a bathroom sign. I know, right? A frickin' bathroom sign made these hardened masculine men transition into a bunch of Karens over a goddamn bathroom sign. What's next? The gigachads start wearing diapers while crying about kids' games not being masculine enough?
Soar through beautiful landscapes, seeking out rare and elusive creatures to add to your flock. Like, dude, this shit is gay. Like, this is either designed for a 5-year-old, or it's designed for a 30-year-old gay man, or it's designed for a woman. But none of those people are buying Xboxes.
Man, this guy is a professional lolcow.
Ladies and gentlemen, I ask you, what is the more likely scenario? That Andy wholeheartedly believes in all of his recent tweets and all the things he's saying in his recent videos, or that he's tweeting, posting, and saying things that he thinks will appeal to the audience demographic he is now trying to garner and appease. As it turns out, AndyPants Gaming is only Andrew's second newest YouTube channel. His first original YouTube channel is Andy Xbox. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Andy is an unironic Xbox console war fanboy. And guess what? We found even more contradictions, hypocrisy, and lies from Andy. Let's go over some of the highlights. Andy Xbox. 1 year ago, when Redfall originally came out, I played Redfall the entire way through and enjoyed the game. Meanwhile, God of War Ragnarok, I got bored after 8 hours. Most reviewers have dogpiled on this game for clicks. You enjoyed Redfall, did ya, Andy? The modern, woke video game that has black and gay characters in it. Here he is glazing Hellblade 2 and calling it our game. I want you all to keep in mind that several liberal white women worked on this game. But here's a real beauty. Here's a real fucking beaut. There's nothing more woke than the Gay Station 5. Some of the commenters in his comment section pointed out how Xbox also associates themselves with Sweet Baby Inc. James Walter III writes, 5 months ago, mind you, Xbox also uses Sweet Baby. Andy's response? Sony uses them way more. Oh, the cope! The cope! But it gets even better! That dude, 659, writes, Sweet Baby Inc. is in all the news when there has been so many anti-black publishers, owners, etc., but I don't hear y'all report on a single one. And Andy replies, and I kid you fucking not, this is just 5 months ago. I love black people in games. I don't support woke tokenism though. There's a difference. And then Andy follows up with, I don't see it that way at all. Love black people in video games. You hear that, everyone? Andy loves black people in video games. Kinda strange though that literally just a couple months later, he says this.
You know, if video games were proportionate to the presence of these people as gamers and in society, that makes sense. If 3% of the population is LGBT, then 3% of the video games should be LGBT. If 14% of the population is black, then 14% of the video games should be black. But that is not what we're seeing.
So let me get this straight, Andy. You love black people in video games, but there's too many of them? You are a walking, talking paradox, a living contradiction. Whether it's major, important topics or minor, petty ones, you can't keep a consistent answer. My God, you can't even tell the truth about whether or not you like Watch Dogs Legion.
Similarly, in Watch Dogs Legion, the story is super boring and the gameplay wasn't very compelling for me either.
And yet, just a mere few months before you said that, you posted this. Needed a good fall game to play and Watch Dogs Legion is hitting the spot. Oh my fucking God! I have seen fish out of water that don't flip-flop as much as you, Andy. But wait, there's more. The worst and best is yet to come. Now, like I said, this is Ryan from the future. This whole bit here about Andy's second channel was not part of the original video, not part of the original script. In the original script, in the very next segment of this video, I'm going to expose Andy for being a fake-ass Christian and expose his whole fake Bible study scam. And I figured that would be the final blow, the climax of the video. But upon investigating the new evidence presented via the discovery of Andy's second channel, Andy has gifted me the means to nuke his entire career. The following clip from a YouTube short on Andy's second channel, AndyXbox, provides no room for doubt that Andy is in fact a two-faced lying rat bastard. And I'm going to edit this clip into the beginning of my video just to make the intro hit even harder, and once you get to this portion of the video, you'll get the full context. But without further ado, here's Andy ending his whole career.
So there's this thing you see on YouTube a lot now, and it's called grifting, and you see people like Luke Stevens and Asmongold doing it a lot, and it just basically means these people have no integrity whatsoever. And it basically means you just regurgitate whatever the popular opinion to have right now is. You have no integrity, and you will just regurgitate whatever people want to hear. I love Cyberpunk when it came out because it was a great game then, and I love it now because it's still a great game. But Luke Stevens and Asmongold hated Cyberpunk when it came out, and now they're praising it. And they changed their opinion on this game because they're simply chasing the clicks. They're chasing whatever is popular, and they have zero integrity. Nothing significant in Cyberpunk has changed, and yet these guys' opinion on the game has done a complete 180 in the past 3 years. Why would they do that? And it's because they're chasing clicks and they're grifters.
No, ladies and gentlemen, your eyes and ears did not deceive you. This was not generated by AI. Andy called Asmongold a grifter with no integrity who flip-flops on their opinions. You can't make this shit up! Ah, yes, Andy, Asmongold, the grifter with no integrity, whom you thought it was pretty wild of them to react to your video. The same Asmongold who helped your masculinity video become your most popular video with the most views, helped it blow up across the internet by reacting to it and sharing it with his audience. That very same Asmongold that you called a grifter with no integrity. Gee, I wonder how Asmongold and his fans are going to feel about this when they find out about this. I wonder how they'll react. Oh my God! Andy, you are the worst con man I have ever met on the internet. You didn't just leave a breadcrumb trail for people to follow. You left whole loaves of bread across the road. The trail is completely covered in bread. You're fucked, you two-faced, slimy hypocrite. The audacity of you to call other people grifters with no integrity when you are lying about being an anti-woke Christian conservative. Oh, I don't play modern games. All modern games are woke and gay. And yet, modern woke games are all you've been playing for the past several fucking years. Woke modern video games are all that you have been promoting and praising. And when Asmongold comes around and helps give you your big break, you don't even have the decency to apologize to him about what you said about him. Instead, it's just, Asmongold reacted to my video. Wild. Yeah, Asmongold, that guy you said was a grifter with no integrity. Holy shit. You're finished, Andy. I don't know how you recover from this once certain people get a hold of this. You can try and delete the evidence now, but I've saved it all. I've got downloaded videos and screenshots and eyewitnesses. I hope this was all worth it for you, Andy. All worth chasing after that YouTube ad revenue. Anyways, back to Ryan of the past to finish off the original video. What's that? You're still not convinced yet. Fine, be that way. Let's go over one of, if not Andy's most egregious lies. Those concerning his faith and his Bible study. At the end of Andy's Why Are Video Games So Gay Now video, he says this.
Also, on the side, I'm thinking of starting a virtual meetup where we literally just study God's word, the Bible, together and reject modernity and talk about what it looks like to be a Christ follower and reject this stuff in our culture today. So comment Bible down below if you think you might want to be involved in that. Thanks, guys. And it seriously means the world to me that y'all follow this and like this stuff.
Let's begin. First off, before this video, Andy had never brought up his faith before, and yet only after this video, he's suddenly all about it. Funny that, eh? Up next, the most obvious bit, he wants to start a virtual meetup Bible study. We'll get into that in a second. But first, so in order to put this Bible study together, he wants people to comment Bible down in the comments. Okay, odd that you're making this so difficult and obtuse for people. You could have easily just posted a link to your Discord in the description of your video and made a pinned comment in the comments section, alongside posting your email so people could easily copy-paste it. Instead, you only show the email you want people to email you at concerning Bible study for a single frame near the end of your video. And looking at the viewer retention via the search bar on the video, we can see what are some of the most paused and most replayed parts of the video. And we can clearly see that the part of the video where he mentions Bible study and showcases the email address he wants people to contact him concerning Bible study is one of the least viewed, least replayed, and least paused portions of the video. And if you go to Andy's About page on his channel, he's promoting an entirely different email address. So what was the plan here exactly, Andy? Because for someone who wanted to start up an online Bible study, you almost went out of your way to make sure the process wasn't streamlined and easy. And how exactly were you going to contact people in the YouTube comments who typed in Bible? YouTube got rid of direct messaging on this platform like almost a decade ago, and if you're just going to reply to their comments by giving them your email address or a link to your Discord, why didn't you just fucking do that in the description of the video or in a pinned comment? Like, are you even trying, Andy? Oh, that's right. You're not. You're playing a character. Silly me. You just want people to type in Bible in the comments to help boost your video in the algorithm. That's right, that's right. Well, since Andy's whole Bible study thing is just a scam, a grift, surely nothing will come of this. What the fuck? So, Andy, for some reason, decided to make a YouTube community post and an announcement post on Discord showcasing on a Google Map page all of the supposed people who have signed up and are part of his Bible study. Now, with this picture, it raises a lot of questions. 1. Did Andy just dox a few dozen people with this picture? 2. How did Andy get the addresses of all these supposed people in his Bible study? 3. Did he ask all the people in his Bible study to give him their addresses? 4. If so, why? Why do you need people's addresses for your Bible study? This is supposed to be an online virtual meetup, isn't it? Why would you need people's actual locations and addresses? And my god, no pun intended, there are so many more questions. How was Andy able to get several dozen people to consent to giving him their addresses? And then on top of that, how was Andy able to get those same several dozen people who consented to giving him their addresses to consent to letting him post a Google Maps image on his YouTube community post and on his Discord server? Andy, you expect us all to believe you got several dozen people to consent to giving you their addresses, and then you got those same several dozen people to consent to you publicly posting an image of where all these people live on Google Maps to your social media platforms. Oh, but we're not done yet. Let's actually talk about Bible study, shall we? So, devout Christians watching this video right now, let me ask you this. Which of the methods I'm about to present to you would be a more productive means of practicing your faith and promoting to others to do the same? Method 1. Encouraging people to join up with a Bible study program at their local church. Practicing your faith and talking about your relationship with God amongst your family, friends, and community members. Using Bible study to not only strengthen your bonds with God, but with your local Christian community. Or method 2, telling random strangers to join your online virtual meetup Bible study in a video about video games and gay people. Oh, and only promote this Bible study at the very end of the video, not at the start. Make it really obtuse for people to contact you about this, then proceed to never promote this Bible study again outside of this video, and even though this is an online virtual meetup Bible study, ask all these random strangers that you invited to your online Bible study, ask them for their addresses for some reason that surely isn't nefarious. I ask you, devout Christian, which method seems more productive in the practice of your faith? I can't help but be reminded of a quote from the show Midnight Mass.
No, it was never me. That's the thing about priesthood. It's never supposed to be about me. It's supposed to be about God!
Bible study is supposed to be about you and your relationship with God. And Andy is trying to twist that and make it about your relationship with him. I do not believe for a moment that Andy is a devout, faithful Christian. Instead of encouraging his supposed fellow Christians to go out and support their local Christian communities and their local churches, he instead wanted people to join his Discord and give him their email addresses. To all the devout Christians watching this video, surely you must see now, Andy is mocking you and mocking your faith. He is using your beliefs to help bolster his online clout. You are a means for him to make money and bolster his ego and nothing more. If you truly value your faith and your relationship to God, then go and support your local churches, not some random gaming YouTuber on the internet. At the bare minimum, your local church isn't gonna dox you. I need a smoke. And I don't even smoke. In the end, the story of AndyPants Gaming is a tragedy. Because this is a guy who genuinely loves video games. He has a passion for video games. But just making videos about the games he loves wasn't good enough for him. He wanted more views, and he wanted more ad revenue, and he was willing to sacrifice his dignity to get it. Instead of being honest and being true to himself, Andy created this whole persona, this whole alter ego, to say things and appeal to a demographic of people that he doesn't even agree with or believe in.
What's going on, guys? AndyPants here. So some of my content has been going viral recently about masculine stuff and anti-woke stuff in video games, and that's awesome, but I also just like playing video games and talking about them. And so this is a live episode we did a couple days ago talking about Starfield. Some people have been saying that Starfield is woke. It's not. It's not a woke game. You'd have to seek out the woke content and the liberal progressive content in this game to make it that way. You can play this game however you want. It's just like every other awesome Bethesda game. So anyway, let's get into it.
Andy, you expect me to believe that you have a burning hatred for the LGBT and all things liberal, but you fucking buy Funko Pops? You're a grown-ass man buying Funko Pops. I can't think of anything more gay and woke than that. I hope this grift was worth it, Andy. I hope destroying your credibility and burning every possible bridge you could have made was worth it. I hope viciously attacking homosexuals and mocking Christians, on top of doxing a bunch of strangers, was worth it for the few extra $100 in YouTube ad revenue. It's such a shame, man. Because when you first started out on YouTube, you made some genuinely good gaming videos. Too bad you didn't have any faith in yourself. Oh, we're not done quite yet. We're done talking about Andy. Now let's talk about you, my dear conservative Christian gamers. Why do you keep letting grifters take advantage of you? You see, Andy isn't the whole disease, he's but a symptom. I mean, for goodness sakes, Andy was just lifting from the Endymion TV playbook step by step. You know Endymion TV, that YouTuber who used to just be about gaming and talking about video games he was passionate about. Then he had one fucking video criticizing left-leaning people in the video game industry blow up, and then, what do you know, now it's his whole channel and his whole personality. Good lord, man! He just blatantly copy-pastes thumbnails! Could you be any more lazy? Look how many goddamn videos that have the title of Mass Exodus. Are you honestly going to tell me that you believe this guy is being genuine? You let these grifters make you into suckers. They actively mock you and your beliefs right in front of your eyes. They treat you like shit, and you reward them for it. Raise your standards. Demand better. Because here's the thing. When the chips are down, and when it really matters, all of these knockoffs of the quartering will turn tail and run. They'll stab you in the back. They will flip-flop on any and all issues if they deem a position to be more profitable. They don't believe in your values, or your principles, or your beliefs. Surely, you've noticed how all of these creators never implore their communities to go help out and support and fund their local churches, never ask them to donate any money to their local churches, or donate to the Samaritan's Purse charity. Oh, but their Patreons, their subscribe stars, their sponsors, oh, they'll gladly promote all of those. Funny that, eh? Please, stop wasting your precious time and money on everyone who even remotely makes fun of liberals. If you are that easy to please, then you will be exploited your entire life. These people are parasites. They do not care about you and what you value. They feed off your outrage and then offer nothing in return. They do not add anything to society. They do not provide solutions to the problems they constantly, non-stop bitch about. They never promote or encourage making anything better in any way. In this particular case, let's focus on gaming. Don't you find it a little bit suspect that these supposedly conservative gaming content creators never encourage their conservative viewers to get into game development? They bitch about left-leaning game developers all day long, but they will never try to promote or inspire change. They condemn left-leaning voices, but will never promote and uplift right-leaning ones. Because of course, why spend your time and money learning how to game dev and making the video games you want to see in the industry when you can be spending all your time and money watching their videos and getting mad about the industry? For the love of God, treat yourselves better. But wait! There's more! I'm not done yet. You remember at the beginning of the video when I said, well, you bloody well couldn't escape this video. It was popping off on social media everywhere. Well, almost everywhere. But we'll get back to that much later on in this video. Later is now. Where the fuck were all the LGBTQ allies when this video started popping off? Over 2 million views and over 200,000 likes? And this video that rips into the LGBTQ even more, almost 1 million views, over 100,000 likes. And yet, the silence is deafening. When Andy's videos started making waves, I was expecting a tsunami of responses, debates, rants. And yet all that arose was a small trickle of response videos from a bunch of smaller creators. Where are all the big dogs at, I wonder? Those big gaming YouTube content creators who claim to be LGBTQ plus allies. And yet, when someone who claims that homosexuals are all a bunch of depraved pedophiles and makes a successful popular video with over 2 million views and over 200,000 likes, follow that up with one of the top comments on his most recent video with almost 1,000 likes, is advocating for gay people to have their rights taken away. I don't know. I would think maybe this would warrant a response. Maybe, just maybe, this is newsworthy. Some allies.
A stacked, beefy dude showing off those thick glutes and man milkers to Andy in third person like it's his own private showing. He don't fucking want you. And you better be straight, because he certainly fucking is.
Every road in every country was built by men. Every bridge and skyscraper was built by men. Every car, every vehicle, every machine was designed by a man. This is your world.
Holy shit, get off men's dick, you f***ing gay god. Oh, men built this and built that, and women can never. Ugh.
So one example of a hyper-masculine game that he clings to like stains on his prom dress is Gears of War. He fucking loves this game. The way he describes it, it's like he's undressing them with his words.
Then you look at the characters, and you've got these hard-ass, grizzled military guys. Rough men talking roughly to one another, making jokes, making fun of each other. But we're still here with a job to do. Gears is about male bonding and brotherhood. It's about men fighting hard-ass fights in a war against the evil locust taking over the world. It's a game of manliness. No offense to games that focus on female characters, but Gears is a game about men.
You'll notice a little watermark at the bottom right-hand corner, showing that these aren't all his footage. And even at one point, you can see him fast forward and check specific timestamps on the video that it almost seems as though he's trying to crop out. He also mentions near the very beginning and the end that he's only recently began playing through the full series.
So I should probably explain that I have zero nostalgia for the Gears games, and I never even played one all the way through until 2023, and I have only recently started playing this series. Even now, 15 years later, this scene hits hard.
But how could you possibly know if you didn't see that scene 15 years ago? And if you did, and it hit that hard, why were you not invested enough to see the game through to the end?
From what we can see when looking at his early content, he had gone with retrospectives on games, which Andy does sound like he enjoys making these types of videos. However, there are a few missing, but we will return to this later. So let's go through a brief rundown of what these early videos are all about, before we head into the brain rot era of his content. If you were to watch these videos from oldest to newest, you would see that Andy in his Ghost Recon video had been quite objective, giving you the ins and outs of what made the series rise and progress. However, after this video, the objectivity fades as each upload is added to the roster. If we look to his Gears of War video, you will find a retrospective presenting the evolution of the series, giving us again the ins and outs of the games, where he attributes the series to, you guessed it, masculinity.
In this way, the Gears games are hyper-masculine, hyper-military games. Rough men talking roughly to one another, making jokes, making fun of each other, but we're still here with a job to do.
Where he builds the masculinity arc up only to let it come crumbling down in his arguments against the fourth installment, with that being, when the lead role had changed from a man to a woman, that's why the game failed.
And because of this hyper-masculinity that you see in the first three Gears games, I think this is why Gears 4 and 5 fumbled so hard for me. Gears 4 and 5 completely lost the brand identity of the Gears games. Gears is about male bonding and brotherhood. It's about men fighting hard-ass fights in a war against the evil locust taking over the world. We are the grunts. We are the boots on the ground. It's a game of manliness. No offense to games that focus on female characters, but Gears is a game about men. Gears 4 is about women, motherhood, and being a deserter. It also plays the worst of any of the Gears games so far, but I'll get into that later. Now, I'm no sexist, and I'm totally fine with women being in the Gears games, but when the original trilogy were such male-focused, hyper-masculine games about brotherhood and duty, and then you turn that game on its head and make it about a mother and a daughter, well, it's easy to see why Gears 4 was such a failure critically and commercially. Well, what about Gears 5? Unfortunately, it fell suspect to all the same problems of Gears 4. It's overly complicated, it gets away from the hyper-masculine, boots-on-the-ground story about men of the first three Gears game, and it becomes a game about deserting the military, being a coward, sisterhood, about women, and starring women.
Of course, he does produce another reason, which is another issue I do take with these videos, where he uses arguments to give off that the footage playing in front of us is his footage.
If you check out the clip on screen, I'm playing hardcore difficulty in Gears of War 1. The combat is incredibly tense and incredibly hard. If you stick your head out for more than a few seconds, the cog in the middle of the screen goes completely red. Taking any fire at all or moving at a bad time in Gears 1 means instant death with nobody to pick you up. So how does the difficulty of Gears 4 compare? Well, it's significantly easier. In Gears 4 on hardcore mode, there's a segment where you are fighting 4 boomers at once. I immediately beat this part on my first try. Meanwhile, in Gears 1, the hardest part of the game had 2 boomers, and I must have died 50 times at this part on hardcore mode. Did you notice how in Gears 1 I had to stay in cover basically all the time, otherwise I would get immediately melted, you know, the way war should actually be? Well, in Gears 4 hardcore mode, I can just kind of wander around. Nobody's attacking me, no danger. So the hardest difficulty in the Gears trilogy is insane, and let's just say it's insane. In Gears 4 and 5, they added an additional difficulty even harder than insane called inconceivable.
But guys, I gotta be honest, inconceivable in Gears 4 doesn't even come close to insane in Gears 1.
When a minute later, we could see that this isn't his footage, but someone else's, where he rewinds and fast forwards a video in real time. So when you make the arguments that you played all of the games on the hardest difficulty to come to your conclusions, but then you have to take footage from other channels, it does make me question if you even bothered to play the games at all. And this is even more blatant in his immersive Sims video.
Video really worth playing. So, you know, all the BioShock games are worth playing. All the Deus Ex games are worth playing. Prey, you gotta play Prey.
Oops, I guess he forgot to cut that out. But in the beginning of his video on Gears of War, he makes the argument that the first cover-based shooter couldn't have inspired the developers because according to Andy, no one played it.
Now, was there technically a game in 2003 called Kill Switch that was actually the first cover-based shooter? Yes. But it's an unfortunate fact of life that a game must also be popular to be influential, and Kill Switch was not a popular game. Some people have pointed to Resident Evil 4, which came out a year before Gears, as pioneering this shooting style. RE4 doesn't actually let you snap to cover at all though, and therefore isn't a cover-based shooter.
But the developers had come out before talking about how Resident Evil and Kill Switch were their inspirations, which this can also be seen in the over-the-shoulder camera movement in both Gears and Resident Evil 4. He does this because he wants to paint Gears of War as being a 100% original idea, and other games had just copied their formula, when most games aren't 100% original pieces, and there is nothing wrong with that. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. However, there are more examples I can show you of how Andy blatantly doesn't hold a good understanding of what he is even talking about. In his second immersive sim video, Andy makes the arguments that BioShock couldn't be an immersive sim, but the sequel could, due to the multiple ways to deal with combat scenarios with the aid of plasmids or reprogramming machines to aid you in your journey. However, what Andy misses here is that almost everything you can do in the second game, you can do in the first game, which again makes me wonder if he bothered to play it before making his comments. Like, does Andy have any standards when it comes down to how he makes content? Does he actually do any research into the topics he talks about? Or does he not care for what is true, or what should be shown to prove something to be a fact? The immersive sim video's narrative is that you don't know how to play games like Prey, and that's why they failed. That because other games are more popular than ones he likes, that means people went into them with the expectation to play games like Prey like how they would Call of Duty. The other explanation he comes up with is because the immersive sim games don't hold your hand while playing them, and that's what turned people away, when other games that go with this approach end up being successful. How Andy comes down to the conclusion that these games had failed though is because he compares the sale figures to games like Call of Duty or Tomb Raider, when the details he leaves out are that these games are from different genres and are longer running franchises, so of course they are going to have a bigger audience to pull from upon each release. Where there could be all kinds of reasons why these games didn't sell as well as Call of Duty, but no, it has to be that we just don't know how to play games from different genres. But even if that was to be the case, surely that's where trial and error comes into play, along with experimentation. However, Andy's interest in talking about video games couldn't save him from going back to being bad faith when he answers the question of when did games become soft, where he cherry-picks certain games in an effort to convey the message that games are becoming softer and less offensive as time progresses, when other games made from 2020 to the current day would beg to differ. And when explaining things like the no Russian level from Modern Warfare 2 to back up his narrative, he gets the details wrong again, telling us we play the role of a terrorist when that isn't the case.
Another situation that just popped into my head was the famous No Russian mission in Modern Warfare 2. In this mission, you play as the role of a terrorist, and the game literally asks you to kill innocent people.
The rest of Task Force 141 brought in the ACS, Alan. 2 men took down an entire base. I ask much more from you now. Yesterday you were a soldier on the front lines, but today, front lines are history. Uniforms are relics. The war rages everywhere, and there will be casualties. This man, Makarov, is fighting his own war, and he has no rules, no boundaries. He doesn't flinch at torture, human trafficking, or genocide. He's not loyal to a flag or a country or any set of ideals. He trades blood for money. He's your new best friend. You don't want to know what it's cost already to put you next to him. It will cost you a piece of yourself. It will cost nothing compared to everything you'll save.
Another detail that seems to have slipped his mind is that you are presented with the option to skip the level if you don't feel comfortable with gunning down innocent civilians. So if the edgy developers weren't concerned with hurting people's feelings, then why would they go to the trouble of adding this feature into the game? You could even turn things like blood off in the menu and replace it with cash. Again, Andy, did you play the game or just read an article? But for Andy, how controversial a game is perceived determines whether or not the game is good in his mind. So by that logic, all of the games that look gay must be really good because they certainly offend his eyes. Or perhaps the uglification of women in games must mean that those specific games are really good just because they just so happen to offend anti-woke or conservative channels. Surely a veteran player of these memorable games would have more to say about what made them popular rather than the reason just being that they were offensive, as anyone who didn't play the game could tell you that. He also makes this emphasis on dev teams from the early 2000s just being edgy men, when women have been working in the gaming industry since the days of the Atari. You see, Andy, research can go a long way, and the best part is, all you have to do is watch the credits. And while we are on the subject, later Andy will claim that Bungie, when making the first Halo trilogy, was a studio comprising of only men. See, it's easier to just run your mouth about topics you hardly know anything about because researching the topics takes too much time, right Andy? And he does the same thing with his video on why he quit playing new games, where it's the same slop as before, whining about Assassin's Creed Shadows being out of place because the characters can engage in same-sex relationships, and the main character being of African descent when the character had been based off of someone of the same ethnicity who lived in 16th century Japan. While it is contested whether he had been a samurai or not, it shouldn't make much of a difference when it comes to an Assassin's Creed game, since Ubisoft have always labeled the series as fictional works, not a retelling of historical events, which has been the standard since the inception of the series, with a disclaimer being present at the beginning of every game, which Andy will later make the argument that the creative choice is bad because it just isn't historically accurate.
Ubisoft thinks you can be bought, and you've proven them right. You can be bought. All they had to do was put a black man in a game. No matter how insane or poorly done or historically inaccurate, you showed that you can be easily bought.
When the devs have only really prided themselves on accuracy with the architecture of the game's locations in the past. He also comes out with another anti-woke criticism that these games are just packed with politics, when arguably a lot of games do have politics within them, whether they are a part of the story or serve as social commentary. The only difference now is, these are politics he and others can't get behind. On top of that, we get the whiff of a console fanboy when he makes the claim that older games are just more original, creative, and experimental than games that were made after 2018. So I guess Helldivers 2, Doom Eternal, and Space Marine wouldn't fit into any of those categories. Sorry guys, I don't make the rules, that's Andy's domain. And Andy even went and made a video about what woke means, which again is just another rant he goes on with no research, a lack of care for what is true, and his poor argumentation, where he claims that it was actually the left who bastardized the term woke, when that isn't the case and it's just Andy being a conservative shill. And now we actually get to solving the mystery of who killed masculinity in video games, where this had been the full conversion into the anti-woke content. As yes, Andy's anti-woke argumentation had been pre-established, however the video in question here garnered Andy with 160,000 new subscribers, giving him incentive to continue making these talking points, allowing his more extreme side to flourish during these times. In this video, however, Andy again cherry-picks information to build this narrative that masculinity is dying in video games, which is the same thing as he had done previously in his TikTok days. But later in the video, Andy talks on traditional male and female roles as being normal, and acts like he is threatened by the girl boss trope, that he just wants to play the role of a masculine character, like it gives him the ability to fantasize about being a masculine man man for once in his life. In his content moving forward, however, Andy shows that he takes issues with who works in the gaming industry simply because of what is in between their legs, resorting to petty name calling when complaining about these things, like this is the prologue to Gamergate 2, the Arc of Insecurity.
This is why when skanks like Alyssa Mercante are crying about Kotaku shutting down and losing their jobs, like, can all these fat, blue-haired white women just go get jobs doing something else? Does anybody understand why they're so obsessed with the domain in the interest of heterosexual mid? Like, it's weird that this liberal white woman wants to be involved in G.I. Joe shit. Like, that's just weird. And I wonder how many billions of dollars they're gonna lose before they learn to stop hiring these liberal white women. Basically, guys, it's not that big a deal. They just want to destroy everything that you love in games. The LGBTQ crowd are satanic devil worshippers, so of course they have witches in their game. No Giga Chad would actually play this slop. We would say, "Get behind me, Satan," while we leave to go play Kingdom Come Deliverance and old school Rainbow Six games. A44 plays with the history of humanity and mythology to shape its particular world. Let me translate that last sentence for you. It probably has a bunch of men who like to dress up in women's clothes in it. Oh, how could we be racist? We just put a black samurai in a game. Fat, ugly, blue-haired women who have never seen a gym in their life seem to be dead set on ruining all of the things us heterosexual men love. And men since the dawn of time have been obsessed with what? Naked women, war, explosions, guns, and funny jokes.
Making a lot of assumptions right now.
Meanwhile, it is the value of the woke movement that women should never be attractive, war is bad, explosions are bad, guns are bad.
America, fuck yeah, coming again to save the motherfucking day, yeah, America, fuck yeah, freedom is the only way, yeah. Terrorists, your game is through, 'cause now you have to answer to America, fuck yeah, so lick my blood and suck on my bones, America, fuck yeah, what you gonna do when we come for you now?
And he even complains that Microsoft would never tell their studios to cancel games that supposedly contain messages from the LGBTQ, because they want to continue pandering this stuff when arguably if you have been pumping money and resources into products for quite a while only to just cancel them, then that would be a considerable loss for the company. So obviously they won't do that. However, Andy also tells us that it's not the executives who are pulling the strings in the company, but it's actually the developers who are pushing for representation in games. And this all comes from not Andy, but Andy's anonymous source. However, you'll have to forgive me if I just don't believe him, as it's pretty convenient to his narrative. And when people claim they have a source they cannot name, who works in the industry they are talking about, normally that's because the speaker wants their words to have more of an impact or to come across with more authority than someone who doesn't have a source in the industry. According to Andy, his source works for multiple companies in the gaming industry, and they apparently told him that the companies keep hiring people who are just confused about their gender. His words, not mine. And that it isn't the executives who decide what games get made, but it's actually their employees, with the reasoning being that they want our money, so therefore they are on our side. But there is something Andy doesn't account for. I mean, the source doesn't account for. Because the executives want our money, then wouldn't it make more sense that they would pander towards specific groups or trends because they believe it will allow them to expand their audiences and therefore make more money from their products? And the source has a very poor understanding of how any industry works, as yes, the people at the top do make the decisions of which products are made or sold because they are the ones putting their resources into the development of these products. However, that's not to say that developers haven't been able to get their ideas greenlit in the past, but the way they have been able to accomplish that is by pitching their ideas to the executives, as everything goes through those in the ivory tower, as is ultimately their their decision of which games they want to fund the production of. So Andy in this narrative has a personal bias against people who are transgender, so therefore he puts the blame solely on those who make the games rather than those who make the decisions. And this is the guy who claims he has a real job. But Andy takes things a step further, as it's not merely enough to blame the developers for certain things, but he also accuses the companies of hiring PDF files, which is quite the allegation to make.
Ubisoft, you can't somehow freaking get a Splinter Cell reboot out, but you can create 10 programs so that troons and pedophiles and gay men are in your company.
Which is only opening yourself up to a potential lawsuit.
Because gay, homosexual retards run the industry.
But when people dared to call the guy who has a massive issue with the LGBTQ homophobic, Andy dedicates an entire video in response in Are Gamers Homophobic?, where the self-proclaimed Giga Chad runs around like a headless chicken for the duration of the video, presenting all kinds of arguments to try and defend himself from being branded as a homophobe. Basically, guys, you are mentally ill if you call him homophobic, but he is free to run around demonizing the LGBTQ for simply existing. Remember when I asked if Andy had any standards in content creation? Well, I guess we now know what those standards are. Double standards. Like he will cry freedom of speech if he gets banned, but if you call him homophobic, then you are of course mentally ill.
And I think you have to give it to Christians. Despite there being 2 billion of them regularly experiencing persecution, murder, and being butchered around the globe, not once have I seen Christians accuse anyone of Christophobia. Sometimes dominant groups will call their enemies blank-ophobic as a psyop to make them seem oppressed when they're really the oppressor.
Like freedom of speech only applies to him, which will come up again later. But if you just so happen to work around people who just so happen to be women, gay, or even transgender, then Andy will just call you a beta cuck and calls it a day.
Just a room full of cucks. A room full of beta men.
But who is the real beta cuck here, Andy? People who get to make games for a living? Or the self-proclaimed Giga Chad who complains about the gender of the developers, as if that makes a difference in game development?
Guys, we want good storytelling, we want good gameplay, and you have to fire all of the women to do that. So far we've had 1 non-speaking man, 1 gay man, and 3 bossy women who should be at home raising children, but for some reason they're ruining our video games.
But then Andy comes out with the grand idea to tell people that they need to go out and get jobs rather than staying at home playing video games, which is some sound advice. However, I just wish it was something he practiced himself.
You can also just straight up send me money on PayPal if you want to support what I'm doing. But guys, I have a wife, I have a daughter I have to take care of, and now I'm going to have a job that I have to actually do. And so these YouTube videos are going to become less and less frequent. If you guys can start supporting me and I can turn this into like a real thing and become an actual YouTuber, then bro, I'll make content 24/7 for y'all.
The rules for thee, but just not for me. So everyone else needs to get a job while he gets to e-beg on the internet. Very classy, Andy. However, with the success of one video on his channel, there had been one who had seen the Masculinity in Video Games video and decided to look at things a little bit deeper, which is where Gamertron comes into the mix, as he decided he would be the one to expose Andy with the inconsistencies surrounding Andy's history, along with some other points that I don't really agree with. As Gamertron shows us that Andy before had disliked Asmongold, calling the streamer a grifter, but as soon as he reacts to Andy's video, he suddenly changed his tune, which just furthers that Andy's talking points can't be strong ones if he is so easily swayed.
I can't believe the morning I woke up and I was like, holy crap, like one of my favorite YouTubers, Asmongold, was like making a video, responding to my video. And and for a second I was panicking. I was like, oh man, I hope he likes it. Like if he doesn't like this video, like I might kill myself. So there's this thing you see on YouTube a lot now, and it's called grifting, and you see people like Luke Stevens and Asmongold doing it a lot, and it just basically means these people have no integrity whatsoever. One of my favorite YouTubers, Asmongold, and it basically means you just regurgitate whatever the popular opinion to have right now is. One of my favorite YouTubers, Asmongold, you have no integrity, and you will just regurgitate whatever people want to hear.
On top of that, Andy previously said that Halo Infinite was an awful game full of wokeness, but in his earlier content he actually enjoyed the game and thought it was worthy of being his second game of the year, just behind Deathloop.
Number 14, Deathloop. Deathloop was my game of the year 2021, and I'm not sorry about it. Halo Infinite is probably my number 2 game for that year, so this game was right up my alley, and I enjoyed every second of it.
That clip you just saw and heard came from the video 22 Underrated Games, uploaded by AndyPants Gaming on June 7th of 2024.
Which Gamatron did do a great job at listing the inconsistencies from his older channel, which led Andy to privating all of his older content in an effort to cover his tracks. However, there were some weaker arguments in his video, such as when he makes the claim that Andy scammed his audience for an algorithm boost, when Gamatron doesn't really present anything to back up how this was clearly a scam. Basically, Andy promoted his Bible study group in one video and asked his viewers to comment Bible so that he would know who was interested in joining this exclusive group of his. But after the video, he didn't mention it again, when Andy seemed to have received over 80 submissions. So that could be the reason why he didn't promote it again, because he had been satisfied with how the promotion turned out. Which Andy then posted this to his community tab in Discord, which granted it is pretty weird that you would go into the effort to show this, but Gamatron claims this to be doxing when the image shows no names, no contact details or addresses, it's just showing the general locations, so these individuals could literally be anyone, which I don't think you can claim this to be a dox.
If you truly value your faith and your relationship to God, then go and support your local churches, not some random gaming YouTuber on the internet. At the bare minimum, your local church isn't gonna dox you. I need a smoke. And I don't even smoke.
Like, I'm all for shitting on AndyPants Gaming, but this just seems to be making mountains out of molehills just for the sake of making someone else look bad. Regardless, the video had still been a good watch and helped in challenging Andy's positions on anti-woke content. However, if there is something that solidified Andy's descent into lolcow status, that would be when he made one crucial mistake, as in his community people had spoken about 3 specific YouTubers, and so Andy made a video about them, where 2 of these don't really address criticisms on them, but one certainly does, with that one being the Act Man. In the video Woke YouTubers, Andy employs the same tactics as before, waffling on with nothing to show for it, noting that because they don't talk about the issues he addresses, then they aren't really being objective. Where I can't speak for the other 2, Act Man is objective when talking about if the games he reviews are good or bad products, but he speaks from the perspective of game design. It's called game review, not woke review, so obviously a game reviewer is going to talk about things within the design of the game, within the mechanics, the writing, and other things. But here is the thing, no YouTuber is obligated to speak on such topics if they choose not to. And another thing is that Actman's audience is going to him for his review, so they can come down to a decision whether or not it is worth them dishing out their hard-earned cash for the new title, not the conspiracies from a raving lunatic.
Anytime you watch an Actman video or a Skill Up video or a Bellular video, just know you are funding the current establishment of video games. You are funding the LGBTQ games. You are funding woke games every time you watch Actman, Bellular, and Skill Up. Conversely, every time you watch Endymion, Jay the Concept, Synthetic Man, Short Fat Otaku, or AndyPants, we are going against the woke agenda and the woke mind virus.
And like before, the Actman had seen Andy's videos, so they arranged a debate to be had, where it went as far as many could expect.
Whether you agree or disdain Andy's beliefs and the way he expresses himself, There's little doubt that his animated personality plays a large component to his recent exposure, and he has decided to direct his attention to calling out other YouTubers in his latest video who he sees as grifting leftist cucks. One of said YouTubers Andy covered would be the Act Man, which is where our story begins. AndyPants first goes out to promote his video on Twitter. That same day, Actman enters the discussion. Lord, thank you for this blessing I am about to receive. It's like you guys aren't even trying with the insults anymore. You all use the same playbook. Do better, there's so much to make fun of me for. But I am happy you found a successful grift after the console war shtick didn't work out for you. Andy then decides to respond, yeah, I used to do the console war thing, but then Xbox made terrible decisions. Anything else, gay cuck? Come on, Grifter Pat. Jeez. Come on, Grifter Pants. At least try to make the insults personal. I've heard better roasts from 12-year-olds on Modern Warfare 2. Your ass would have gotten eaten alive on Xbox Live. Calling me a cuck is not effective when I don't have a girlfriend. Hey, that's something you can make fun of me for. Think your wise boyfriend will let you stay up late and make a response video tonight? I will admit, it's an incredible troll, but I feel like I'm picking on the kid who sits in the back of the short bus. Sorry about the mental retardation, if you're serious. Imagine being a gay beta and voting for Kamala. No wonder you don't even have a girlfriend. From there, Andy pokes fun at Ackman for the next couple of days until announcing an upcoming debate stream, where Ackman replies, Yo dude, DM me. My DMs are open. Would love to chat sometime, live stream or off stream, recorded or not recorded. I love the content you make and I'm not being sarcastic. I think the satire is immaculate and I love it. And just to be clear, I'm not trying to derail or destroy what you got going on. I'm just genuinely entertained and impressed at what you've done. So please, hit me up in DMs. I think we could have some incredible conversations. And to that, Andy replies, There's no satire here, brother. But often when the woke mind virus has taken someone over, they think my content is satire. I'll be on from 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern tomorrow if you think you'd like to discuss/debate me. Bro, you are a fucking legend for keeping the act up. You have fooled so many retards, I am genuinely impressed. Keep up the good work, this shit is so entertaining. Stop being a beta cuck and come to my channel then. And with that, the time and date was set. So, how'd the debate go? So it starts off with Andy starting up his stream, talking to some bozo for a few minutes to let the time pass, eventually cuts him off to let the Act Man join in.
Act Man, how can I use this for content? Exactly. Hopefully it's mutually beneficial. He can use me for content, I can use him for content. It's fine. Guys, is he gonna pussy out? Is he gonna puss out because leftists are pussies? Is Ackman gonna run away because leftists are cowards? I'm gonna have some random people come in here while we wait for Ackman.
Dude, how's it going? I'm surprised the Ackman hasn't joined yet.
Yeah, dude, just sitting here waiting on him.
I also forgot to mention another one, and I think this is important to mention, is fucking mobile games. Do you know how big the mobile game market is? Like, they could give less of a shit about, like, the smaller games, which sucks. Because, like, and I saw your video.
There he is, boys. The man
What's
himself.
Poppin'? Yeah.
All right, Ackman, I have one question just to start off. In the words of the African prince, why are you gay?
Why are you gay? Who says I'm gay?
You're not gay. It's just that you were supporting
You didn't follow through with the line, bro. Come on, man.
You were supporting Leon mods that were gay, and you were anti-Ashley mods, and I was wondering why you did that.
Huh?
For Resident Evil 4, you were in support of Leon mods, and in support of gay Leon mods, acting like they were no big deal, and you were again, and then you called people that were pro-Ashley mods. You were like, oh, they're weirdos.
I don't know if I said the term weirdo. I mean, if you have the tweet, we can go over it, or whatever the tweets are.
Basically, people are not allowed to remove LGBT stuff from games. And what you said here was, this is false. Nexus Mods is not working to delete mods that remove pronouns from Starfield. Mm-hmm. And then there was a clarification note that said, from Nexus Mods, that said, this is actually true. If we think someone is uploading a mod on our site with intent to deliberately be against inclusivity or diversity, then we will take action against it.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Andy starts off with a harmless joke. Ackman even plays into it. But Andy's first criticism is asking Ackman why he supported RE4 gay Leon mods, but was anti-Ashley mods. Then when asked to provide proof, Andy pulls up a screenshot where Ackman says Nexus mods weren't banning Starfield mods removing pronouns, which they corrected in a context note. He wasn't correct, but these are two wildly different statements, and Andy never provides evidence backing the first claim that Ackman was anti-Ashley mods to begin with. They continue.
So you think this is some kind of like gotcha? Like,
I mean,
when I admit to mistakes, like,
so do you not see the double standard that people are allowed to put like gay stuff in there, but aren't allowed to remove it?
Are you talking about Nexus Mods double standard?
Yeah.
Because, well, I mean, they're an independent company, aren't they? So they're allowed to do what they want. Of course, there might be a double standard there, but there's also the idea that no matter what they choose, they're going to piss some group of people off, right? If they allow mods like that, they're going to piss off one group. But if they take them down, they're going to piss off the other. So it's really a no-win situation for them.
Yeah.
And that's kind of up to people's own interpretations. But yeah, I believe I corrected that mistake that I made. Maybe a quote retweet or something. So
What struck me as odd was Andy pivots from his initial statement to asking Ackman if he saw that Nexus mods had double standards. It's as if he were responsible for what Nexus said or did, and that somehow reflects Ackman himself. Before I get too ahead of myself, let's move forward.
if that's all that can't be all the ammo you have. Surely you've got something stronger.
Oh, no. My other question is, does the fence ever hurt? Do the splinters ever hurt from sitting on the fence so much, bud?
Oh, so is this the route you want to go down?
This is the route I want to go down. Let's go.
Are you sure?
Dude, just unload the ammo on me. Dude, I'm ready.
Are you sure about this, man? Because I don't think you're cut out for this. I don't think you know how this game is played.
Sweetie, I am. I'm so cut out for it.
Then why have me on when you have done such a terrible job of purging your digital footprint?
Go ahead. I had an old Xbox channel that was stupid. Go ahead, pull it up.
And an old Twitter account and a few old YouTube channels. And I have your permission.
Go ahead, dude.
Oh.
Do you want to call me homophobic now or later?
I don't care about that shit, bro. I care about you being a fake.
Oh.
And that when the people find out who you really are, the leopards will eat your face.
Go for it. Go for it. I've changed. I'll be super transparent on what I've changed my position on and what I haven't changed my position on.
Andy makes a statement that comes across as condescending. A huge part of what hurts Andy's argumentation is partially due to the animated language he uses. This type of personality works really well in solo videos, but by the time you come into an actual debate, it really hurts genuine conversation. By seeping his claim with an insult, Ackman smirks and asks Andy if this is the route he wants to go with. Does he want to turn this into a shit-flinging contest, or does he want to have an honest conversation? Ackman is giving him an opportunity to rethink his strategy, but Andy doubles down.
Dude, look, I loved your videos from like 7 or 8 years ago. And do you agree that there has been a steep decline in masculinity in video games since that era of like 06, 07? Like, I know you love that era of games. Do you agree there has been a steep decline in masculinity since then in games? Steep
decline? I mean, there's obviously still instances of games that have masculine protagonists, sure, but you know, I would have to watch your masculinity video in its entirety. I think I watched about 7 or 8 minutes.
Okay.
And that one hit the algorithm. I noticed a change in the type of content your channel has. But to answer your question, if there's been a steep decline, how do you quantify masculinity? I mean, like the Doom games, like 2016, Doom Eternal, Doom the Dark Ages coming out. We just had Space Marine 2. That's pretty fucking masculine. I mean, Leon Kennedy, Resident Evil 4 remake. I think Leon Kennedy's a fucking badass, pretty masculine. Isaac Clarke, the Dead Space remake, pretty fucking masculine.
Exactly, but which is a remake of a 2007 game.
Right, but those are still remakes released within the last couple of years, all featuring protagonists that we all consider to be fucking Giga Chads. So obviously there's some contention around your premise that masculinity has fallen off on a steep decline or something. In some ways, sure, maybe there's more pandering. Go ahead.
I'm just saying that we had Medal of Honor, we had Sam Fisher, we had Ghost Recon. We had all of these great like masculine characters in games, and it seems like everything now is either a remake. Like what new very masculine character has come in a game recently?
New?
Yeah.
Are you talking like entirely new franchise?
Right. It's not a remake of a 2007 game, because that just proves my point that games back in the day were more masculine and everything's feminine now.
I think you're just moving the goalpost because you were talking about masculinity in video games, and I gave you several examples of protagonists, but now you're saying, what about new characters? So you're kind of just moving the goalposts on this.
I don't have to move the goalposts. Dead Space is a remake of a 2007 game, so that proves my point. So, yeah. But you disagree. You disagree that games have been feminized. You disagree that masculinity is in decline in video games. Is that what you're saying?
I disagree with some parts of what you've said. Yeah.
Okay.
Andy asks blatant gotcha-style questions. He clearly only wants a yes or no, as if the topic he's approaching is completely black and white. Ackman tries to give a nuanced answer, which leads Andy into either immediately switching the subject or jumping to conclusions of what Ackman believes. When given multiple examples of masculine characters and games in the modern era, Andy focuses on the sole example of the remake, ignoring the other various examples Ackman has come up with on the top of his head.
Has the check cleared for Payday 3?
Yeah, it did.
Okay, all right. Hit the bank account?
Yeah, sure did.
Okay.
It's great that someone is you can finally confront me on that, man. Oh, yeah, go for it.
Good. Because it was trash. I don't see how you could justify. I mean, right now there's like 5.
Do you want an actual explanation, or are you just looking for cheap gotcha moments? Because I'm telling you, man.
No,
my closet is clean,
dude.
Okay?
I do want.
And I have found a lot in yours.
Oh boy.
Okay. Like I don't often get invited to those things. I think I've done Halo Wars 2 and Payday 3 are the only 2 events where I think I've been actually invited out to. Mm-hmm. I talk a lot of shit, so if you want to accuse me of being a shill, I don't get invited to a lot of things.
So you truly liked Black Ops 6? You truly like the new Call of Duty game? Because that feels like we're waiting for the check to clear from Activision as well.
This shit is so stupid, man. I'm not sure how much research Andy actually did on Ackman before wanting to expose him in this stream, but he could have had a genuine retort here. Although it's true that Ackman hasn't been physically invited to other sponsored events, that doesn't mean he hasn't done other sponsored reviews for games. For both New World and AFK Journey, Ackman dedicated entire videos reviewing both games under the guise of a paycheck. He received quite a bit of flack for both videos, and eventually he either unlisted or deleted them, as they've both been removed from his channel and are no longer up publicly. If Andy wanted to go the shill route, if he wanted to make the claim that Ackman has no integrity and that his word is paid, he could have easily pulled up actual examples where Ackman did get paid to promote a game and disguise it as a genuine review. But instead he goes with Black Ops 6 and Activision. Fucking idiot.
See, the funny thing is that parts of your audience don't know that you're joking.
No, I'm not joking, brother. I swear to God.
I hear you laughing. Like
I'm laughing at the fact that I think you were.
I don't think you're an idiot, bro. If you're familiar with my content, you have a very good understanding of why Activision does not pay me or offer to pay me, nor would I accept offers for payment.
You're talking about their game. You're still talking about their game, and you just said, what did you say? Treyarch is cooking with this one. Just because I'm chuckling doesn't mean this is a joke. I 100% think the game is trash, and
you honestly, legitimately think I'm being paid by Activision,
dude. I do wonder if it's secondhand.
You're a smart guy. You're not retarded. Let's not insult both of our intelligences here, okay? If you genuinely think I'm being paid by Activision, you have never watched a single Call of Duty video I've made.
Dude, I get it. You want to protect your money. You want to protect your cash, and the way you do that is by playing both sides.
I am true to myself, Andy.
I want to protect my money too. I get it.
I know, at the cost of your own soul, man. You are sacrificing something that when you go up to the man upstairs, he's gonna know what you're doing. I know what you're doing. I've gone through your history. I have all the archives. I have the community post you deleted yesterday about us. You're so bad at deleting things and hiding things from your audience, bro. I have it all, okay?
There's a lot of nothing shit that ends up happening here, so I'm just gonna give some spark notes. Actman calls out Andy for being a Starfield Xbox shill in the past. He also alludes that he might make a video on Andy for exposing him for being fake. He also mentions that in the past, Andy used to have nuanced takes, but has decided to essentially radicalize his content to cultivate an audience. Andy asks if Actman is a Christian, and when Actman tells him he's not a practicing Christian who goes to church, Andy treats it as if it's a gotcha moment, like he's supporting evidence that Actman is a fence sitter, even though he never claimed he was a Christian. It doesn't relate to anything, it's retarded. Actman then brings up an old quote of Andy's.
I found your old video on political bias in game journalism. And again, it's like, this is a good take. But see, like, the audience you've cultivated is not going to like something that you say here.
Oh, great. I can't wait.
Yeah, these are your words. The more gay, lesbian, trans, and female characters we have in games, the better. The more diverse perspectives we have in games, the better they will always be. This isn't really lining up with the direction your channel is going in, does it?
Yeah. What I will say is that about a year ago, I was backing Xbox, and I think it's pretty commonly known that I used to have an Xbox channel. And then I think in those moments of me backing Xbox, I would say stupid stuff at some points. And, you know, if anybody wants to find that or Google that or whatever, I don't really give a
is that
shit.
one of those stupid things you don't think?
Yeah. Well.
Oh, so you completely 180 that?
So yes, it was stupid. And so
Andy keeps trying to bait Actman into calling him a homophobe. He literally tells him he has a response for when he calls him a homophobe. Spoiler alert, Actman never calls him a homophobe.
If you wanted to own him with a gotcha, maybe don't tell him it's part of your plan, you fucking retard.
Anyways, I feel like the stage is set well enough where I don't have to keep going into autistic detail of every clip. So now that we've established the base arguments and the points of contention, I'm just going to let the rest of the relevant clips play out.
So here's my next question.
You think so little of me.
Given that LGBT are a tiny 3% of the population, is it strange at all to you that their depravity is being pushed in 100% of games now?
100% of the games, all of them.
Oh yeah.
Everything's woke now?
Dude, it's
everything.
It's all, homo flags are in everything. Yes. Homo flags are in everything.
Being pushed in every single game. Obviously, like you're like 100% of the games that like you're no.
So moving on, why do you
wait, I didn't answer the question.
Okay,
do I think it's strange? You want a real answer? No, I don't think it's strange. I think corporations do what thinks will make them money. And as you see with Concord, clearly didn't work out. But after the BLM protests, riots, after all of that, that's when a hard push began where corporations started being like, wow, there's a lot of popularity behind this movement. Let's capitalize on that. Let's, like that famous fucking, what was it, a Pepsi ad?
Yeah.
So, no, I don't think it's strange that they're pushing it. I think it's strange that they push it as hard as they might have done in Concord. But that game failed for a variety of other reasons. Not just because it had gay people in it. I play both sides. That's why both sides hate me at times, because I make fun of both of them, because I don't restrict myself to 50% of the material. Why would I do that?
When have you ever hated on the LGBT community in any
one of my most popular videos is feminism and SJWs versus video. Dude, what are you talking about?
It's like a 10-year-old video.
It has 5.4 million views, bro. What are you?
People are like, what happened?
You keep moving the goalposts on everything. It's like, when have you ever made fun? The Hogwarts Legacy shit was last year. You don't know anything about my channel, bro. So the thing about the word woke is it harkens back to that old story we all read and were taught when we were growing up. The boy who cried wolf. These days, it's the boy who cried woke. There is so much disingenuous criticism using the word woke. The word is so liberally applied to everything because there are so many online grifters who produce daily outrage content that are saying, this thing is woke, you should be angry, you should be upset. Tune in tomorrow for episode 4169 on why Star Wars is woke now and why you should hate it and be mad and angry and upset. There's so much of that going on that the ending of the story of the boy who cried wolf is that at the end there was a wolf out there, but because there were so many false claims of there being a wolf, the people didn't help him. So that's what's happened with the word woke. When I hear somebody, so it's what happened to the words racist and sexist a few years ago. people were saying like air conditioning sexist and, you know,
right,
all this stupid shit is racist and sexist. And it destroyed the meaning that those words are supposed to have. The Boy Who Cried Racist, The Boy Who Cried Sexist, The Boy Who Cried Woke. These are 3 books in a volume. Okay? That all have the same ending.
Dude, so it's I mean, you're a video game critic and you do video game analysis. So I find it shocking that you don't see the pattern in a game like Concord having 3 black females in it and not a single white man.
Just want to cut in real quick. Andy kept making the claim that Concord has 3 black females, but not a single white man. Tio, this Soldier 76 ripoff, is a white dude. Like, yeah, bro, the game is shit. The characters are ugly. For sure, no one's arguing that. But why make a claim multiple times when it's so easily disproven? Jesus fucking Christ.
And you just seem to turn your head the other way. And I'm saying that's what's annoying your audience, is that they're just like, yeah, Actman just denies all this stuff because he wants to hang out with leftists. And I'm sure you have a lot of leftist friends in the industry and all these homos, and you go to pride parades. And like, I get it, dude. No, seriously. I said that you are playing both sides. You have no integrity. And I know that you're gonna cut together a video of me a year ago saying something stupid, and I'll be the first to say that I've grown since then and I've moved on from former views.
Yeah, you've moved on from the Xbox console warrior grift to the 100%. Anti-LGBTQ grift.
Sure, if that's what you want to call it. Have you?
That's what it is, man.
Can you admit that you've moved on from making based videos to making play both sides puss videos? Dude, seriously.
See, you're not being fucking serious with this, bro.
Serious.
You keep laughing because you know what you're saying is so ridiculous. Fence sitting. So
yeah,
how do I sit on the fence?
By
point.
I mean, I get it. It helps you make money as a YouTuber.
No. I'm not asking. I'm asking for examples of when I've sat on the fence.
Dude,
and when I've played both sides. When do I do that?
Okay. Look, I get it. I just watched a political video you made a couple weeks ago, and you talked about how I don't get into politics because I think politics are toxic, and I just want to talk about games, and that's fine. And that as given your type of content, that makes sense because it helps you play both sides and it helps you make as much money as possible to not talk about politics. And it's smart.
Politics in the real world. Okay. I'm not going to make a video about gun control. You know what I mean? I'm here to talk about politics in media, in storytelling. That I'm fine with. I'm not going to tell you how the fucking country should be run. Okay. I make video game videos.
No,
right?
There's actually like 5 or 6 black people in Concord. I said there's black women in Concord.
Even worse. Even worse. They were women too. Fuck.
Dude, it's funny that you bring this up because somebody on your server actually called a black person a monkey. It's funny that you bring up
racism. Way.
No.
One person in my fucking Discord server said something racist once. Oh my god. Oh my god. He's so based. Are you for real, bro? Are you for real? Don't come at me with this fucking weak shit.
No. And look, I will be the first person to say that there's stuff on my Discord that happens that I don't know about. My only point in saying this is that there's nobody more racist than leftists like you. Nobody is more racist.
How the fuck did you extrapolate that? Do you have brain damage? How did you extrapolate this from some fucking random? This is what you come at me with, bro? Oh my god. This is weak.
No, dude,
you ain't no Giga Chad, bro. This is
Dude, I'm just telling you that somebody on your server, there's a black guy from my community on your server, and he got called a monkey, and then somebody said that he lived in a mud hut. So I guess these are the people that you
thank you for bringing that to my attention, because I can talk to my mods and take action against this if action hasn't already been taken. This is the hard-hitting stuff, the Discord messages from random users in a public server.
So no, I thought it was funny.
I thought it was funny because it shows how racist you are that one person got in your server and said something racist, and that I'm putting all on you. And you're a leftist, and you're are you retarded, Andy? You're not retarded. There's no way you can make this possible connection through any logical means and actually believe it.
This is probably the most damning clip of the entire debate. Andy tries to pin a random retard on Discord and connect it to Actman being a leftist because leftists are racist. It's just fucking wild, and I don't see how anyone with an iota of fucking common sense or self-awareness would present this as damning evidence.
dude, because I saw you talking to Marty the other day. I mean, I know he doesn't work at Xbox. I know he's a Bungie guy, and that was a cool interview I enjoyed. But like, what is even going on with
He's a woke leftist too. Did you know that? He's secretly a super woke leftist.
No, he's
Marty.
not. Dude, he's
he is.
Dude, he was a Republican dude, he's hardcore conservative.
No. It's all a front.
Yeah, right.
See, because I only pander and talk with hardcore leftists.
Okay, I see what
that's all.
I'm just gonna skip a majority of the video. I think you get the point. Andy asks a Fox News, CNN tier level comment. Actman gives a genuine nuanced answer. Andy switches the subject or regurgitates the same 3 claims against Actman that he still hasn't been able to prove. The cycle continues. And there you have it. What a fucking disaster. Following the end of the stream, Andy would receive criticism not only from the general public, but from his own audience as well. How did he respond? Well, Andy decided the most alpha Chad masculine decision he can make was to unlist the video and disable the comments. He also deleted a majority of his tweets in relation to the debate, causing an unsurprisingly chaotic riot within his Discord community. Not only would he avoid addressing the stream while posting unrelated tweets, but he would take it a step further by removing one of his mods because he begged him in the nicest way possible to stop acting like a fucking retard. He also allegedly began banning people who shit on him for how manic he was acting and spamming Cope to every text calling out his bullshit. For someone who's so willing to dish out criticism and insult other creators as leftist beta male cucks, he can't seem to take the L and stop acting like a leftist homosexual. Now, it's been some time since all this is played out, and there is an update. Apparently, he had a Discord call with his community. Unfortunately, I wasn't available when it happened, and it doesn't seem like anyone has it recorded. However, they did help to convince him give back his mod privileges to the individual who previously lost it. He unbanned some other members. He brought back the stream into public mode, and he re-enabled the comments. Posted an update! And he age-restricted the stream and re-disabled his comments again because he's a fucking pussy! Despite trying to right his wrongs, it's extremely telling the level of mental maturity someone like Andy has when melting down to a situation he started.
It's ever hurt? Do the splinters ever hurt from sitting on the fence so much, bud?
Oh, so is this the route you want to go down?
This is the route I want to go down. Let's go.
Are you sure?
Dude, just unload the ammo on me. Dude, I'm ready.
Are you sure about this, man? Because I don't think you're cut out for this. I don't think you know how this game is played.
Sweetie, I am. I'm so cut out for it. Go ahead, dude.
Oh.
You want to call me homophobic now or later?
I don't care about that shit, bro. I care about you being a fake. And that when the people find out who you really are, the leopards will eat your face.
Go for it. Go for it. I've changed. I'll be super transparent on what I've changed my position on and what I haven't changed my position on. I've always talked, even on my old Xbox channel, I talked about the woke garbage. It's just people didn't want to hear it at the time. And now my new channel, people want to hear about it. So I talk about it more. And do you agree that there has been a steep decline in masculinity in video games since that era of like 06, 07? Like, I know you love that era of games. Do you agree there has been a steep decline in masculinity since then in games?
Steep decline. I mean, there's obviously still instances of games that have masculine protagonists, sure, but you know, I would have to watch your masculinity video in its entirety. I think I watched about 7 or 8 minutes.
Okay.
And that one hit the algorithm. I noticed a change in the type of content your channel has. But to answer your question, if there's been a steep decline, how do you quantify masculinity? I mean, like the Doom games, like 2016, Doom Eternal, Doom the Dark Ages coming out. We just had Space Marine 2. That's pretty fucking masculine. I mean, Leon Kennedy, Resident Evil 4 remake. I think Leon Kennedy's a fucking badass, pretty masculine. Isaac Clarke, the Dead Space remake, pretty fucking masculine.
Exactly, but which is a remake of a 2007 game. I'm just saying that we had Medal of Honor, we had Sam Fisher, we had Ghost Recon, we had all of these great like masculine characters in games, and it seems like everything now is either a remake. Like what new very masculine character has come in a game recently?
New?
Yeah.
Are you talking like entirely new franchise?
Right. It's not a remake of a 2007 game, because that just proves my point that games back in the day were more masculine and everything's feminine now.
I think you're just moving the goalpost because you were talking about masculinity in video games, and I gave you several examples of protagonists, but now you're saying, what about new characters? So you're kind of just moving the goalposts on this.
I don't have to move the goalposts. Dead Space is a remake of a 2007 game, so that proves my point. So,
Yeah.
but you disagree. You disagree that games have been feminized. You disagree that masculinity is in decline in video games. Is that what you're saying?
I disagree with some parts of what you've said. Yeah.
Okay. Has the check cleared for Payday 3?
Yeah, it did.
Okay. All right. Hit the bank account.
Yeah, sure did.
Okay.
It's great that someone is like, you can finally confront me on that, man. Oh yeah, go for it.
Good. Because it was trash. I don't see how you could justify. I mean, right now there's like 5.
Do you want an actual explanation, or are you just looking for cheap gotcha moments? Because I'm telling you, man.
No, I do want an
my closet is clean,
dude.
Okay?
I do want.
And I have found a lot in yours.
Where Andy had prepared to be called things like homophobic or a bigot, like people had done in the past, but the act man pressed Andy on something he wasn't expecting: his religious beliefs.
Andy, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Has God taken the anger out of your heart?
Why do you ask that?
I just curious.
I mean, if you're...
Do you think... I want you to be... You don't have to be honest with me, but you got to be honest with him.
Well,
do you think where you're at right now,
you're not a Christian,
God has taken the anger out of your heart?
Wait, are you a Christian now? Do you believe in God? Because it sounded
I didn't say that. I'm asking you, man. I'm asking you.
Well, what does it matter if God doesn't exist? What does it matter?
What are you talking about? You think God doesn't exist now?
No. You said that you're not a Christian earlier, so I assume you don't think God exists. So what does it matter?
Oh, so you're just making assumptions.
So you do believe that God exists?
I believe a God exists.
Okay. So you're not a practicing... Would you call yourself a Christian?
No. I don't go to church. I don't practice religion.
Okay.
I mean, there's like non-denominational people who don't ascribe to like, at least from my understanding,
right?
Different denominations. There's so many interpretations of Christianity, but
right.
I'm asking you.
I will pray about that, and thank you for bringing that to my attention, and I will consider that.
Consider what?
That your question about me being hateful, and like as a Christian, I do have to consider that stuff. Like I don't want to be hateful. I don't.
You have to look. But you have to decide how you want to pursue internet fame. What path do you want to go down? Because like I've told you, I've seen some of your other older videos that you've tried to hide from your audience, and some of them are good. Some of them are good. You had a video about how Fallout New Vegas has the best quest design, and it's like, yeah, fuck yeah. You should do more stuff like that and not pander so much to the gays are destroying our video games crowd.
Well,
it's like, sure. Yes, but the boy who cried wolf, okay? So it's hard to find the wolf when every fucking time a new game comes out, it's woke, and the gays are ruining it. Every fucking time a new video... You just said 100% of the games that come out are woke. Every single fucking one of them, okay? This is a boy who cried wolf scenario, and it's...
Okay,
I can't... How am I supposed to take... Am I just supposed to believe in what you say blindly?
Dude,
are you the ultimate arbiter of what's gay and woke and all this? You know what I mean? Like,
dude, I'm just saying it's odd that you never talk about it. It's odd that you never talk about it.
What I've always made fun of and criticized on my channel is bad faith critique of video games and the medium of video games. And people make bad faith arguments on the left, people make bad faith arguments on the right. Okay? I don't discriminate against either of those. It's all fair game. Okay? It's all fair game. So I don't fence it. I don't play both sides.
Dude, of course you do. You said you did in a video. You said, I don't want to talk about politics.
That's politics in the real world, not in video games. Come on, bro.
It's the same thing, dude. You're still...
No, it isn't. No, it isn't.
How fitting? Because you don't want to piss off the leftists because that would interfere with your bag. I get it.
That is the dumbest fucking thing I've heard. That's why I ask, did God allow... Has he taken the hatred out of your heart? And you don't have to answer that to me or your audience or anybody, but you will have to answer that to him. You know,
dude, there's certain activities and actions that God says are shameful and says are sinful, and so
and the ninth commandment,
I'm taking a stand for Christ every single day that I make my YouTube channel and that I make videos. I'm taking a stand for truth. I'm taking a stand for God, and so I don't have to be ashamed about any of that.
No,
as opposed to playing both sides and like kind of claiming to be a lukewarm Christian and like, oh, I'm gonna
lukewarm Christian. No, don't misinterpret. Don't
like. I don't actually believe anything versus like I'm standing on God's word. I'm a Christian and I'm standing on those values and I make videos about it.
I think, well, here's the thing. Here's that. You remember that Overwatch diversity chart that leaked?
Yeah.
So stuff like that, stuff that is tangible. I cover stuff like that. It's not like, oh, this female character doesn't have rockin' double D boobs. Wokeness? Woke? I don't make shit like that, okay? But when it's something tangible, when it's like an internal document at Blizzard that shows that they're grading their characters based on a set of diversity charts and numbers, yeah, I'll cover that because that's fucking insane. That's actually something for me to point at and say, wow, this is like a really bad mindset to make video games with instead of like some creative inspiration when now we're tokenizing everybody.
All right, dude. Well, thank you for letting me roast you. And dude,
look, man, you did a really bad job of it. I'm gonna be straight up. And
dude, props to you for coming on. And it takes some balls to come on here and let me like interview you and roast you. And respect, dude. I really appreciate it.
Next time, come up with better roasts, and don't just copy comments or copy insults from your comment section. I think deep down you're actually a smart guy. And you're capable of. There's a lot to roast me on. I mean,
yeah,
you know.
All right, I'll work on that. Bye, guys. Thank you.
As you can see, the debate didn't exactly go to plan, with Andy committing the anti-woke sin, with that being disabling the comment section, which is funnier when you realize that he used to make fun of those who welcomed debates, but then did the same thing.
He took down the comments for the video and then basically kind of deleted it.
Just for context, he obviously disabled likes and dislikes, so not even the extension would work. But what's fascinating is that this is the first time ever I've seen a creator self-flag his own video for an age restriction.
But when the Axeman had re-uploaded the debate he partook in on his second channel, Andy, without warning, struck the video down, which, as we have seen with Dark Viper, caused a huge uproar to commence within the community, with even people who were critical of the Axeman in the past coming to criticize Andy over this. And after the debate, Andy had decided that he would make a new video where he acts like he won the debate, and the Axeman had declined a second debate with him when Andy lost the debate because he couldn't argue his way out of a paper bag.
So a few weeks ago, I had the Axeman on my stream to have a casual chat about wokeness in video games. He denied that women in games are becoming uglier, he denied that games are becoming less masculine, and he denied that games are becoming more woke. A few days later, he made a video making fun of the idea that there was wokeness in games and got absolutely bodied by his followers. Finally, I invited the Axeman to come back on my stream and have an actual debate, and of course he pussied out and cancelled.
However, if we look at the message, we can see that the text looks a little bit weird, doesn't it? And not how it would normally appear on Discord. Like, did he think people wouldn't compare the bold text in this message with other messages that have no such effect? What world does this guy live in? After this, Andy decided to host a live stream where people could call in, but once Andy couldn't weasel his way out of the conversation, he did what all internet warriors do, and that's kick them from the call.
I think God judges people based on the information that they have, and I think the Bible teaches that. So if somebody has never heard the gospel, I don't believe that God sends them to hell because it seems incredibly unfair to me, and I think the Bible backs that up.
You think the Bible backs it up? You're just gonna assume that?
No, I think so. No. There's verses to back that up. All right, guys, we gotta move on from here. But Fish Tennis, I appreciate you coming on. Thank you. Hey, what's up?
So I just wanted to understand what are your objections against like Axeman, Skill Ups, and Belua. Like, can you explain to me what are your aversions towards those three YouTubers and why are you so against the LGBTQ messages? Just so I can have a full understanding.
because there's an obvious push. There's an obvious push in video games now, pro depravity, pro LGBT, anti men, pro women, pro uglification of women, just all that garbage. And those three guys don't ever talk about it at all.
But are they supposed to though?
Yes, they're
Why
video
is that?
game. They're
Why is
video
that?
game commentators.
Yeah, but it's their YouTube channel though.
Oh, yeah,
and
no.
Are they allowed to dictate how they want to run their YouTube channel?
This is my YouTube channel, and I can criticize other YouTube channels.
No, I agree. You're allowed to do so. That's what I'm trying to understand. Is like, why do you feel the need? Like, I'm trying to understand why do you feel the need to criticize them? And
Because it's my channel, and I can say what I want.
Okay, I see. All right, that's what I have to ask. I'll leave us that.
Here's like my issue is like the intent of you going into it. You sound very vindictive. You're going into it. No. Like because you're going into it saying, well, if he makes a video on me, then I have to make a video on him. I have to take him down a peg, and I know there's shit in his closet. But like, don't come from that angle. You need to come from an angle of you're looking after your integrity, like your personal thing. But it seems like you're so hell bent on trying to take him down a peg personally.
No, dude. No. Well, but you didn't listen to what I just said. What I said just before that is I'm willing to take this as a lesson learned. Like I'm not.
So learn the lesson, bro. Like don't focus on we need to take down the Axeman.
All right. Thank you, Walter. I appreciate you. I appreciate your thoughts. That gave me something to think about. I'm gonna move on to.
Oh, there you go, guys. Jesus, why do you call me sweetie too? That's what I was gonna say. I didn't want to say anything, but bro, why? It's so gay.
In another conversation in the same live stream, Andy devolves by resorting to petty insults and being overly annoying by repeating what the other person has to say over and over again in a stupid voice.
Kiddo, I love diversity. I'm totally fine with diverse characters in games. But do you not see how 3 black women in a game and not a single white person is a little bit wacky?
I mean, I don't see how it's a point. I don't see how that's a thing worth bringing. Like, I don't see how that's
weird. So you don't think it's a teensy bit weird to have 3 black women in a game and not a single white dude? You don't think that's like a little bit weird, considering like a lot of white dudes play games?
Well, I think in that sense, what I think, right, is sure, that's weird. However, is it really a big enough talking point to be like, oh, well, this guy didn't mention this, so they're a woke liberal cuck pushing communist liberal agenda? Like, I don't see how that's like a big enough talking point to try and actively use that against another creator to try and call them woke and say, you know, the corporations are using them as a mouthpiece.
Well, clearly everybody disagreed with you because they loved my video.
Okay, well, now we're just arguing like numbers and whatever. Now we're just like, well, ratio. Is that what we're using Twitter logic now?
Brother, what is the cuck chair like? Because you sound like a leftist.
I mean, I guess if we're gonna, you know, act like children here, I guess if we're gonna act like children here, then how's? Oh, he kicked me. He kicked me. Oh, look at this.
And this live stream had been so bad that he deleted or privated the VOD so no one could see him act in this way. So others had re-uploaded the stream onto their channels, which is why we could actually see this footage. But eventually Andy had removed the strike on Actman's second channel, with the reasoning being that he didn't know it would cause such an uproar on the internet, when he has been around since, what, 2006? So he really doesn't have an excuse for that. On top of that, he claims he saw it as someone re-uploading his content.
Actman, how can I use this for content? Exactly. Hopefully it's mutually beneficial. He can use me for content, I can use him for content. It's fine.
But I think it's clear that this wasn't out of concern for his IP, but because the Actman allowing comments on his side, while Andy didn't, made him look bad, and so he struck the video down out of pettiness. But after this, something else happened that I think you will find very funny. As Rince had uploaded a video showing us what Andy had said to one of his friends in the DMs.
Have you just given up on YouTube? Dude, why would you think it's a good idea to DM my friend Destructor the N-word while I was streaming? What in your mind made you think, yeah, that's a really smart thing to do, especially with all the drama I'm in right now? Do you not realize how much ammunition you're giving me? Do you not realize how much fuel you're giving me for my channel?
The last thing I want to touch on today is when Andy reviewed a game coming from a company he said was going to save us from the wokeness gripping the West. But now it's a different story.
I combed over every detail of the GTA 6 trailer. I noticed they have no problem stereotyping and poking fun at black people. They have no problem stereotyping and poking fun at white people. But did you notice a suspicious absence of them making fun of the LGHDTV community? Rockstar, come on. Women's sports with a dude with a giant schlong, beta cuck men who are both feminists yet also can't define what a woman is, misgendering people. These people are walking jokes, and these jokes write themselves.
Okay, so because Rockstar didn't show off any LGBTQ stereotypes in the trailer, then it's a bad thing. But if they show representation, then they are automatically woke. Which one is it, Andy? You can't have it both ways, buddy. In conclusion, AndyPants Gaming is a classic internet warrior, a remnant of Gamergate talking points and insults, where he whines about how games are becoming more woke and less offensive as time progresses, to the point his argumentation turns bad faith. And through his disdain of the LGBTQ, Andy brings up things such as the developer's sexual orientation, what gender they identify as, and what lies between their legs, when those things are pretty irrelevant to the subject of video game review. This isn't about wanting games to become better, but it's more about what Andy believes in, with him playing Bible semantics to the extreme, believing being gay or trans is sinful and immoral. But this tough guy persona he prances around as in his videos is just that, a persona. As if you are lucky enough to get into a call with this guy, he transitions into a complete mess. No wonder he is so insecure about masculinity, because this guy lacks it entirely. But is this some grift Andy has been playing up, or is it just delusion? Well, maybe it could be a bit of both, as yes, Andy does prioritize the content that does well, but he also has a disdain for the LGBTQ. But I think Andy is just using the popularity around his masculinity video as an excuse to go after the specific groups he doesn't like, to validate how he really feels about them, regardless if he believes in the anti-woke stuff or not. It's all fair game to him.
And beholdeth the image of God.
The way he describes it, it's like he's undressing them with his words.
Then you look at the characters, and you've got these hard-ass, grizzled military guys. Rough men talking roughly to one another, making jokes, making fun of each other. But we're still here with a job to do. Gears is about male bonding and brotherhood. It's about men fighting hard-ass fights in a war against the evil locusts taking over the world. It's a game of manliness. No offense to games that focus on female characters, but Gears is a game about men.
Andy has an almost obsessive focus on masculinity in video games, constantly ranting about the lack of real men in modern gaming. But when you dig deeper, his behavior starts to raise questions. For someone who claims to despise LGBTQ+ representation, he sure spends a lot of time fixating on it, almost as if he's battling something within himself. Then there's the evidence. His habit of saving and posting images of gay men, sometimes in explicit situations. So is Andy just another hyper-masculine internet warrior? Or is he projecting something he doesn't want to admit? The contradiction is too blatant to ignore. Andy openly expresses hate toward other religions and beliefs, using his platform to spread division and extreme rhetoric. He doesn't just critique games. He actively pushes non-gaming, radical topics to fuel outrage and engagement. His posts encourage hostility toward those who don't share his views, reinforcing an echo chamber of intolerance. Rather than discussing legitimate gaming issues, he derails conversations into ideological battles, focusing on masculinity, religion, and LGBTQ+ representation in a way that feels more like political propaganda than actual critique. His obsession with controlling the narrative proves one thing. Andy isn't here for honest discussions. He's here to manipulate his audience for clicks and profit. In conclusion, AndyPants Gaming has built his platform on contradictions, manipulation, and grifting, shaping his persona to fit whatever will get him the most clicks. His sudden shift in beliefs, his obsession with masculinity, and his hateful rhetoric aren't about truth, they're about profit. He fabricates outrage, panders to his audience, and actively covers up his past to maintain his new persona. A huge thank you to all the YouTubers who helped expose Andy's deception and contributed to making this video possible. If you found this video informative, make sure to like, share, and spread awareness. Grifters like Andy thrive on misinformation, and it's up to us to stay vigilant. Keep an eye on the stories he pushes online and question the narratives. Thanks for watching.